Hey, I'm Nashi.
I'm Rezlar.
And I'm Frosty. Welcome back to the Value Pack.
Hold on, I have to gear check Nash right now. Alright, that is some bull jabber. Dude, he CC'd me out of dance.
What's happening? Wrestler!
People look at you like you're crazy, and they refuse to admit that it's pay to win, and just scream that it's pay to convenience! It's pay to convenience!
Big money, big money, big money, big money!
money! Oh shit, we got it! We fucking got it!
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Value Pack. We are back. We have returned. We've been gone for a while. In case you're not in the loop, I had a series of computer issues that left me without a computer for almost a month. So yeah, there's been just issue after issue. I have to apologize for that. It is 100% my fault. And I have honestly learned my lesson. Fuck AMD. That's what I've come away with from this whole experience. But anyway, we're back now.
It was an AMD what? CPU or GPU or what was it?
CPU.
Oh no.
Yeah, CPU. Yeah, it was a pretty miserable experience. But you know what? It's all good. We're back now, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about because not only were we basically gone for 3 weeks, you guys did one show without me, and then we were just gone for I think 3 weeks. Also, the Heidel ball happened, so my God, there's a lot to cover. Of course, before we get to any of that, though, I have to thank our lovely, lovely patrons for supporting us. Hawaiian I has issues. Jeremy Johnson, Lord Carrot, Melt on Your Mouth, Minaria, Slytech, Talus X Septum, thanks, and Wavesy. Shout out to you guys and everybody else that supports us on Patreon and supports us on our individual Twitch streams. We appreciate you guys for, showing your support. You guys the homies. Frosty, Nayashi, it's been a while, but we're back in it. And I believe, Frosty, we are opening up with new class?
Yeah, new class, dude. I got this video queued up. I'm streaming it in Discord so we can all be watching it together.
Okay.
This is the this was their introduction to the new class at the Heidel ball. So here we go.
It's time. This treasure's ours, scallywags.
Sorry, that's not
finally
funny.
unlocked the secrets
It
of
is
me
actually
father's
hilarious.
treasure map. Now for the first one. All of you, on the stones, now! An easy task, right? Now, on to the second one. So good.
I don't think
Mr.
real
Diver.
pirates ever say scallywags. I'm just
Now
gonna
the
say
map
it.
says slowly press that together.
There goes Nayashi, gets launched off into the water.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
but
that's
that
what
clearly
it
wasn't
meant.
his fault. The other guy pressed
This
it
is
too
the
quickly.
last one. You better be
Or
ready.
you pressed it too slowly.
A key be buried in the head of this canyon's master. There's no need to worry. I'm at your side.
So when you saw this, did you think this was the weapon immediately?
Well, I mean, it basically is the weapon, right?
Well,
Nope.
finders keepers.
No, it's not.
It's the
Finally,
same type.
the treasure
No, this is
right
just a plain
before
old
us.
stock sword. Her actual weapon is that extendo sword
Now,
that
let's
can
see
manipulate
what it
waves.
was exactly that me father treasured so.
I like the destroy all humans like music they had going on there for a second.
Yeah. Jax is saying this
I
is
can
probably a
almost see the
preview for
look of
one of the new
surprise on
dungeons.
me dear
One of the new
father's
sections.
face.
I could see that.
Yeah, it looks like it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is this? He's saying, is this? I think it might be. I mean, either that or it's like, I don't know, kind of looks like it. It's in-game
The
graphics.
treasure we've been looking for. The family heirloom of the crown.
Dude, the sword looks so epic.
Ladies,
Yeah, it does.
treasure be in our hands.
Like one of Ashy's cousins with another helmet on.
Huh?
So that was the start, and then they show this little mermaid teaser thing, which was like, wait, what the hell?
For anyone who wasn't watching the Heidel Ball, because it was like super late at night, but me, Frosty, and a couple other people were watching it together, and Frosty was like damn near like yelling. He was like, "What? That's so cool!"
Dude, I was freaking out, man. I was freaking out. And then they did the combat video like right after. But yeah, dude, I'm a sucker for water animations. The way she like moves around too with this little rope thing, it's epic. She looks freaking awesome. She plays really zoomed in though, you know?
They
It
all
looks like
do.
that the water rope did damage to those mobs a second ago.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think it does do damage. I was looking at the skills and it definitely looks like it does a little bit of damage, but I don't know how much.
It'll probably be a tier 3 add-on.
Yeah, on a low cooldown.
Yeah.
This also looks like it might be, I don't know, part of the new dungeon maybe. Someone was telling me this is
Possibly.
not, like there is no golem there in actual Loon Valley. So, I don't know. All right. So, your guys' initial thoughts on what you saw there?
You know, they did a interesting attempt at a playful video to introduce the class. I think it was
You think it was what?
I think it was pretty cool how they did it.
Rez?
Good, interesting way to introduce a class. That's all.
Thoughts on the video or thoughts
No,
on
the
the
class. On like what you kind of know and what you've seen so far. I have a list of the skills as well if you guys have not seen them.
Yeah, I was reading through them. Which that's one of the things that we got to talk about because there's something on there that is very interesting.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of
But-
cool stuff on here.
Yeah, no, she's like, oh yeah, let's get to that part.
Yeah, yeah.
first. No, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a pretty fun class to play. It looks like it's gonna be kind of like I don't know, like a maybe not a flex class, but kind of like that same vein as DK, where it like kind of is a like a side main ball type like fighter type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what the word I'm looking for is here. I'm struggling with the word, but like they stay with the main ball, but they don't like go in the main ball. They kind of like play around the edges and shit.
Yeah.
So that's what it seems like, anyways. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty fun. I don't think I'm gonna be re-rolling to it, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah, the animation style, the mobility, and like the AoE size reminds me a lot of Succession DK and Awaken Hash.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like, so it kind of reminds me of that. Yeah.
I know that this is pure speculation, but what do you guys think the Awakening's gonna be? Because that's the Succession, obviously, right?
Yes, this is Succession that they show in this video.
Yeah. So what is, because everyone's talking about what they think the Awakening is going to be. I personally feel like with the last, I think 3 classes, what they've done is they've like done the Succession, and then the Awakening has been something like almost completely different for the most part. So I honestly feel like they're probably going to do that again. So it's going to be something like kind of out of the blue that we're not going to see coming.
I mean, I agree. I actually think that that's true for a lot more classes than people think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
If you think about even some of the ones, like they're not as major of a swing, but like I don't know. I was thinking about this 'cause someone's like, yeah, but they've really only done that with 2 classes. The rest really stick to the theme. And I'm like, okay.
The most extreme example was Nova, but yeah.
Warrior kind of sticks to the theme. It's kind of like in the same vein. Sork really didn't. I mean, it was a melee / mid-range caster that became a melee 2-handed scythe. Ranger did not stick to the theme in any way. It like literally went from a bow class to just a pure melee like daggers. Zerker was a 2, like an axe in each hand, into suddenly he has a cannon. So I don't know, like a lot of these classes kind of changed pretty dramatically. Even like I think Kuno with the Chakram is pretty different than what it is in the Pre-Awakening. Dark Knight with like its ranged abilities and so on. Like Striker Mystic kind of kept a similar vibe. But I don't know. So a lot of them are pretty
That's because
different.
those are fighters, so there's only so much you can do with the fighter class.
Right. And then the last 3, I mean, I even think Hash, I know it kind of like has a sand theme. Like the theme in the background is still similar, but the weapon and the skills are very different in Awakening than in Pre-Awakening. And then, yeah, like you said, Nova is really extreme. And then Sage just goes from this time shifting whatever to a lightning god, which is also very different. So, yeah, I also think they're going to do something completely different than what we see here. I think the pirate theme will stand, but I don't think that the water, waves, and the sword will stand.
Yeah. No, I think the same thing.
On BD Foundry, they had the Global Labs this week talked about the Corsair for a second, and they said after launch, Corsair will be transferred immediately by completing an exclusive quest. Awakening is scheduled to be updated about 4 to 5 weeks after its release. However, the schedule is subject to change. Awakening will also be filled with various features along with new weapons that did not exist before. So a couple interesting
that's every
things.
Awakening weapon.
That is true, but it is interesting that they say weapons plural. Not sure what it means, but they do say weapons, which is kind of interesting too.
I honestly think she's gonna get like a trident or something. I think it's gonna be more focused on the water theme rather than the pirate theme.
Nah.
You think so?
Because the water,
I think so.
the water is the weapon, though. That's the thing. It wasn't like she could manipulate water and then she found her weapon.
Right.
The weapon is what gives her the power to move the water. So my thought process is the same as Frosty's. I think that the Awakening is gonna lean more into the pirate aspect of it, and that pluralization, although that might just be like not intentional in any way, but I wonder if they're gonna give her guns. Like 2 flintlock pistols.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I honestly I understand where you're getting at, where water is like her power or whatever with the sword and whatnot, but it's like I don't know. They kind of they have that basically probably similar to an Excel mode type mermaid thing going on. I think they just kind of barely tap into it with this, and Awakening is going to be more encompassing of that.
But the thing that Rezlar is saying is that mermaid, the water, all of that is tied directly to this weapon. It has nothing to do with her inherent character. Her inherent character is just a normal pirate. So like the Awakening would have to somehow utilize this same pre-Awakening weapon would be part of her Awakening. If it would be the only way that would work out. It wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is so the theme that will stick between both, because it's just the character's theme, is the fact that she's a pirate. But the weapon, I don't see them doing a trident, because the trident would mean it's literally sticking to the pre-awakened theme. Yeah. I think there's a chance it's guns, but I think it's a low chance just because I know no one or everyone says they changed their mind before, but it was literally June 2020 that they said they have no intention of using guns.
Yeah, so that means that they probably decided against guns for this class.
Yeah, and everyone thought that the pre-awakening would be guns too going into it, and now it's that's not, so maybe the awakening's guns. And maybe it is. It's possible. I think it's more likely that it'll be guns than it'll be a trident or anything mermaid related.
I mean, some people were saying a whip because, the extended sword aspect.
That still kind of goes with the fact that that's a pre-awakening aspect, though, because that's her pre-awakening weapon.
I just think it's going to be totally different from the pre-awakening. I mean, who knows? Maybe it won't be. Maybe because they've done 2 classes in a row that have been vastly different. The awakening from the pre-awakening has been vastly different. Maybe this time they're going to keep it relatively similar-ish.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's totally possible, but I don't know. I think they like doing the whole 2 very different things sort of thing.
I do too. I think that in their minds they're basically developing 2 different classes, and they like
exactly.
It definitely seems like how they are
Now,
positioning themselves.
And the other
character
thing is like if you do a trident, right? Because like that's the thing that like everyone's saying like there's going to be a trident. How like my thing would be if you're going to do a trident, how are you going to make it like so different from the Cabilius spear that it's not like basically the same weapon?
that's what
Right.
I said, dude. I went on I was a guest on Choices podcast this week, and I literally said the same thing. I'm like, dude, they just released a duodent, dude, a two-pronged trident for the Sage.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's literally a trident. It's just that he's kind of holding it more spear-like, but tridents, when you throw them, you kind of hold them in that same exact way. So
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's like a two-handed trident.
It reminds me of a javelin Amazon from D2 with how he holds it.
Unless maybe this is going to be like a ninja and he's got like 3 tridents.
6.
He's got like one in each
6
hand and one on his back.
Dude,
Jesus.
6 tridents. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna match. And here's the thing: is like I'm a sucker for the water stuff, so I do hope that they keep that theme in some way, but I don't think that they will.
I mean, I think they will a little bit, just like how, like even in Awakening Nova, like I forget which one of the skills, but like one of their skills, I think it might be the skill that you can only use in Excel. Like whenever you use it, it leaves a little like snowflake on the ground beneath your feet,
Yeah.
which is a very pre-Awakening or Succession aesthetic. So like there might be some like water stuff, but I think for the most part, no, I think they're gonna diverge. Again, maybe they change. Maybe they feel like they've diverged like twice in a row, so now they want to kind of be samesies. But I don't know.
I mean, again, I would love if it was something water. I'm just hoping it's not like a normal two-handed thing that she's spinning a lot, and I hope it's not. I actually I'm not as into the guns as everyone else is. I don't really enjoy gunners on other games. I know some people do, but I don't know. I just like can't picture. I feel like in BDO it'd be so weird. I don't know.
Why though?
I
I'm
don't
always
know why,
curious as
because-
to why people think that.
Well, I think it's partly because in the last 4 years, our only experience with guns or gun animations are Q buff, the matchlocks, and then like bandits and pirate mobs. And they're like
Right.
all kind of lame, except for Q buff is like kind of cool, but it also is like so, I don't know. Like you gotta like that kind of thing, the Barrett thing.
Is Berserker technically a pirate with a cannon?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is the thing is like a lot of people say that it doesn't make sense, but it does because like if it had 2 guns, like we have ranged classes already. Like we have, Succession Ranger and like Archer and shit. So it's not like range is a problem. Although I do agree with this statement that they should not be adding more range into this game. Like I'm 100% on board with that.
That's the other
And
question.
then-
What kind of damage type is this class?
Well,
do we think
and then
it's
the other
magic,
thing-
melee?
Well, the Succession is probably going to be magic, I would assume, with all the like water shit going on, right?
Yeah, but then if the Succession is going to be magic, which it looks like it is, are they going to have, it's going to be magical guns in Awakening? Because there's no class right now that has 2 different damage
No,
types.
it'll be ranged.
But there's no, so it'll be the first
they did
class with 2
guns.
separate damage types?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
Maybe they just
Wait,
make it-
Rangers' damage is still ranged in melee
Yeah.
with Awakening?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I mean,
That's
so there is precedent for them doing something weird like that if they do it with Ranger. Like they'll just make it magical. Like even if it doesn't really make that much sense. But anyway, like I'm not like, just to be clear, I'm not like hard in like it's gonna be the guns camp.
Right.
I think it's gonna be something that nobody predicted because that's what it's been the last 2 times. Like nobody predicted a rapier, nobody predicted a fucking spear like thing. Like I think it's gonna be something kind of out of the blue, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she'll just become Captain Hook. She'll get the damn hook
Dude,
hand.
Hook hand.
That's
And
the thing,
she'll get a pet alligator or a crocodile.
Her
to
awakening
follow
makes her the hash slinging, the slash ringing, the dash bringing, the mash ringing. I forget the name.
Dude, I was dying at the idea of it being Captain Hook because it's like that it's like a hook or whatever. She has a hook hand. Like that when she C swaps, she loses her hand, and then when she C swaps
Yeah.
back, she gets her hand.
Yeah.
It grows back. I don't know. I actually have no idea. Like every time I've thought maybe I'd have an idea, it's nowhere near anything I'm thinking about. The only time we actually got like relatively accurate guesses is when they showed us something as like a teaser.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
otherwise our
maybe-
guesses are
maybe-
What
way
if
off.
they? What if-
Maybe
so-
her awakening is she has her scallywags as her pets that she sends at people, kind of similar to how the Nova.
God,
the
I hope
Nova's
not.
fucking-
I hope. I would rather have guns than that, please.
What
Send in the
so
scallywags.
leaning into like the whole pirate theme, I think it would be pretty cool if it was, which I like how we're like trying to guess. Like you already know that thing is already like made, like 100%. It's ready to be shipped tomorrow. They're just holding on to it. But I think it'd be pretty cool if they made it like, so there's a pretty common thing. I don't think like actual pirates ever did this, but it's a pretty like common thing among like media where it's just like a big spiked ball on the end of a chain.
Yeah.
And it's not like a flail. It's literally just like they wield it by the chain and like throw it around. So like what if it's kind of like Lawn Awakening-ish, but instead of like these blades, it's just like these huge ass spiked balls.
Well, I was saying that was kind of my idea that I think would be actually really, really cool. It's like imagine like a massive spiked ball with a chain, right? Like it's like huge. So when she throws it out, it's like a little bit big and like lumbering. But imagine instead of a ball with spikes, it's literally like an anchor. And she's like literally
Yeah.
beating you with an anchor and a chain. Since
Literally
you're
just
Captain.
Nautilus
Yes,
and
Nautilus, dude. Nautilus. That's what I'm talking about. Except not as goofy looking. I hate how Nautilus looks.
Yeah, he looks kind of silly.
And
Dude,
when
the
she
other-
sees you, she just attaches her anchor to you, and you can't move from that spot. You like kind of like tether to that spot.
Dude, the other thing I think would be sick is Alawi. If it was like an
Yeah.
Alawi type thing, oh my god, that
Well,
would be
that's
so epic.
that's one of the things I was about to say is I hope since like the Succession is like this whole like super like beautiful like mermaid with these like super bright blues and all these flashy stuff. I hope if they lean into the pirate theme for the Awakening, it's just fucking brutal, man. I want like a brutal like awakening for this character where it's just like the physicality of it is like holy shit.
Well, the ripping off of the hand and putting on a hook, and
Okay, here, yeah, okay, so Roki-san in chat is kind of reminding me. So her dad is Patrigio. So
Yep.
what if it's something along the theme of money / being a thief or like the
Yeah.
night
I
vendor?
saw
like
you
something
say I
along
think
those
in
lines.
the podcast Discord, I think I saw you say something about what if it's a thief or something like that.
so
That
she
could be
steals
interesting.
your armor and sells it back to you at 3 times the value. That's probably
Yeah,
that's
right.
fucking brutal, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my only qualm with that is like we kind of already have our assassins.
Mhm.
So I don't know what a thief would do. Like are we really just going to add another character that's all about like slinking around and being invisible and attacking from the shadows and shit like that?
You don't have to have it like that. It could be
No.
more like someone that steals a skill ability.
She's magic though, so it'll be a little bit different. It's not going to be like hiding and whatever. It's going to be like, I have no idea. She's me Meowth, dude, from Pokemon. All her skills are going to be
Meowth.
like, she's going to hit you and coins are going to fly out. I don't know. It would be kind of cool. I don't know what really they could do. Yeah.
her awakening weapon would be an eye patch, a magical eye patch.
She loses her eye in Awakening.
No, she just puts it on and
She
takes
whipped
it off.
herself in the face with that extendo sword
Yeah.
and needs an eye patch. I don't know. I would actually love though if they kept with the mermaid theme and went like further on that. I know they won't, but man, I think it would be cool because I really think the whales and the water and the waves and all that stuff is pretty freaking cool.
But what about all those fish that you hated?
Which fish, dude? I don't hate fish.
That one skill where the fish kind of like awkwardly sit in the middle of the screen rather than dip in and out of the
Oh,
water.
I do hate that part. I don't know why they added that. It's like every part of the animation is really cool, and then randomly there's a fish. There's like
It's got a bunch of
clownfish,
Nemos
dude.
floating in the air.
Yeah, the clownfish. I'm not on board with the clownfish stuff. I don't know why it's clownfish.
I thought you would be fine with it if you said you'd be fine with it if they actually just had them dip in and out of the water rather than stay in the middle of the screen awkwardly.
No. I'm
So
not
you're
fine with
rolling
that.
to this day one, right, Frosty?
I'm rolling to this day one. Hold on, let me show you guys that. Have you seen this? I assume most of you guys have all seen this already, but we're just gonna play it anyway. There's a chance maybe Rezler and I actually haven't, but I do want to talk about its implications. This is the mobility that she uses in the Heidel River. All right, so here we go.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Okay. I don't know if she can just straight up walk on water, like just a walk, because she's standing on this rock. But it looks like if you're using her mobility that she can do it over water, which is actually pretty cool.
That's what
so
it seems like. I think if you
it-
stop doing the mobility skills, you're gonna fall.
Yeah. So she does the slide, then the flip, then the tether, then the mermaid skill, and then she goes back to the fucking slide, flip, tether again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure she can't walk on water, but it's like you can just like use your movement skills to glide across it essentially.
And the more recent one, can you see this? The streamable that I pulled up on the boat?
Yeah.
Okay, this is one of the GMs or whatever using some of the abilities the other day when they were demoing her. First of all, these water animations look so sick. Like even just that first slash skill reminds me so much of Mystic, which I love. Look at how cool these skills look, dude.
That's pretty cool looking.
The fish look dumb right there. Those are the fish I hate. Look at these fish right here.
They're supposed to be going in the wave though.
Dude, she looks sick, and then some wizard tries to ruin it. But dude, they do this with everybody. Maybe it's just because it's on a boat and there's people on the boat, but it looks kind of hard to track a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it might also just be because I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, maybe not. It's not that hard to track. But dude, these skills look freaking so cool.
Yeah.
And the sound effects, dude.
Was he in medium graphics? Or?
I don't know. It kind of looks like remastered, but like.
Yeah, like it's really hard to tell what it is.
Yeah, I can't tell. It doesn't.
It doesn't look like it is remastered, but it's definitely higher quality.
Yeah, no, because when the witch uses it's not remastered. There's no way, because when the witch uses its skills, like these are not remastered animations. So. It looks freaking cool though, dude. I cannot wait. I am so hyped about this class. So yes, Rezlar, right off the bat, I'm most likely to save myself money from tagging.
Swapping those weapons.
Trying to justify it.
I'm rolling.
Abandoning the Kuno, or is it your hash?
Well, my hash was tagged, so it's.
Oh, okay.
And I could always retag my whatever, you know. So here I want to talk. Let's talk about these skills. Wait, do you guys? I mean, Nayasha, you're gonna forever be Maywall. You're never gonna try anything else. You're frozen in 2016. But Rez, are you down to try a new class?
I'll play it during seasons, but
I mean, I don't know. It's not like I'm like locked into Berserker forever. I've rolled off of it plenty of times, as you know.
Yep,
but
you've rolled a lot.
I don't know. This isn't really something that I think I'm like super into. Now, obviously, like the Awakening, who knows? Like I have to see it, and then I have to get my hands on it before I could say anything definitive. But just from seeing the combat animations from the Succession of Corsair, I'm kind of like, it looks fun. I'll have some fun grinding on it for seasons, but I don't think I'm gonna like play it or anything.
Yeah. Do you?
Now that might change once I like actually play it. I might be like, holy shit, this class is amazing. It's so much fun, yada yada. But I doubt I will be.
Are you into or not into the mermaid thing? Because I've noticed there's a lot of like, it seems polarizing. The mermaid. Some people are like, dude, the mermaid thing looks so cool, and then some people are like, dude, I'm not gonna be a fucking mermaid. That's so lame.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem with the mermaid thing. I just wish if they were gonna, almost wish that just would have been the class identity. Like instead of it being like you're a pirate who also occasionally turns into a mermaid, like they should have just went hard with the whole mermaid theme, you know?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I'm kind of with you in that. I'm not a big fan of the pirate theme in general. But apparently a lot of people are. People love pirates. I'm not as into pirates as other people.
Well, this class is almost exclusively for people that came from Mark Age, right? I mean, people love pirates in that game.
I thought
that's the whole reason they played.
Maybe. I thought this was trying to attract the Sea of Thieves players.
The Sea of Thieves players.
It's true.
Yeah.
And of course that
also,
the big ship that they demoed.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Big ship also try and bring all the old Arcade players back, dude. Hey, we have big ships.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of these skills and some of the mechanics. Then after I want to get, after we kind of break all this stuff down, I want to get you guys thoughts on her viability in large scale. So let's talk about this first. Okay, so she has, it looks like she does have an evasion passive that gives her, essentially when it's maxed out, 4% all evasion, which really isn't that much. Her evasion to me seems super strange. She also has an evasion buff of 12% for 10 seconds on a skill that has a 20-second cooldown. So that won't have a whole lot of uptime. And then she has a separate evasion buff on a low cooldown that has a mobility on one of her mobility skills that lasts for 5 seconds.
And that's like a 4-second cooldown, right?
I think it's even less than that. I think it might be on a 2-second cooldown. So that one will be up all the time, but not once you're CC'd because the cooldown is so, I mean, the duration's so short. So I don't know. For me, the evasion part is kind of weird because it seems like it. I'm trying to think of a class. It's kind of like Hash has it 100% of the time because it's a 10-second cooldown and it's on your dash. This one seems like weirdly not. I get it's more like akin to Ninja and Kuno, I guess, where it's like not up all the time. But it's just odd that when it's not up, your evasion passive is only 4%. I don't know. It just seems like kind of low. So maybe they're not like trying to make it like an all-in evasion class, but it does seem to have evasion, not DR passives. It also has a passive that when leveled up seems to give you 10 AP and some amount of HP. All right, sorry, the pre-awaken one is 10 AP and then also gives you like 2% crit at level 63, and then the succession one also gives you some AP and HP. I'm not sure how much HP, if it's every level or not, but there's that. And then, all right, so they have a couple new mechanics. 2 new major mechanics and 1 new theme that they kind of started with the Sage and now are continuing here with this class. So one of the new mechanics is this guard break on some skills. So, for example,
I'm excited for this.
Prime Mareka Whale Song has an attribute on it, an affix that is targets guard gauge minus 25% on hit. So when you hit the player, their guard gauge will drop. I'm assuming because it doesn't specify that they have to actually be in block or forward guard, that even if you just hit the player, their block gauge will pop up and drop 25%. That's really unique, like a way to really put pressure on player's block. This skill is a 20-second cooldown. It gives minus 25% on hit, and then the 200% version of it is minus 40% on hit. So that's the first part of the new mechanic. The second part is this skill, Mareka Spiral Soak, which is on hit. It's a 20-second cooldown. No guard gauge recovery for 10 seconds on hit. So not only can you break their block or chunk it down, but you can also prevent it from recovering for a duration of time. She seems to have 2 abilities that do this. One that lasts for 10 seconds and another one that lasts for 5.
What are the cooldowns on those respective abilities?
The 10-second one is a 20-second cooldown. Let me find the other one. Or maybe I'm thinking of, maybe it's just the, oh no, maybe it's from the e-buff that I was thinking about. The e-buff like adds that. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the guard break in prevention of recovery?
So one that leads me to believe that probably the Awakening won't have a grab. And I think that mechanic is actually really awesome. Many players that I've talked to suggested that kind of same concept. Maybe not exactly like that, but like enhanced damage to blocks or something like that to classes that don't have grabs so that they can deal with these, SA block classes a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a really interesting mechanic, and I'm really hoping that the rework will incorporate that in some of the classes that tend to struggle versus the shield classes, So I think it's really, really good. We'll have to see how it plays out, if it's like, too strong, balanced or not. So we'll have to see. But I think it's interesting. I think it's a really good mechanic. I feel like it's the right direction, probably, if this class doesn't have a block, for them to test it out.
Resler?
Yeah, I just really think that they should remove Maywa from the game. No, I don't
Completely and
know.
utterly irrelevant to this.
It's I like it. I think it's an interesting mechanic. I don't know if I like it if it takes away block percentage when you're not blocking. I don't think I like it in that case. But definitely, like, it should be a thing where if they're just holding your block, you can use these skills to just like almost instantly destroy it. Like, I like that. That's a good trade-off, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I like it if it's like, even if you just hit them with it, it just takes away their block percentage even if they're not blocking. That's kind of stupid. But yeah, making it like a thing where you have to try and time your ability to get that like block damage down, or that block health down while they're blocking. I like that. And if that, like, I don't know, maybe you can be like, well, only 20% for like kind of a risk of them just holding grab, you use the ability and then you get grabbed or something, then it's like, I could understand that. Maybe you buff it a little bit to like, because it's like, what, 20%, right? So maybe you buff it to like 40% or something. I don't know. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a pretty smart mechanic. It's way better than a fucking like grab break thing, whatever.
Yeah.
That people have been tossing around as ideas, including us, forever, because it's like, how do you deal with this? I think it's a pretty good way of dealing with it.
Yeah, it seems, I'm looking at this, it looks like it does not apply to pre-awakening at all. So I don't think this mechanic or its features at all will be in Awakening. This seems like a succession thing only, because even the skills with the block break are not on the absolute versions. The only one that is the 200%. But none of the actual normal skills have the guard gauge -% on hit or the prevention of recovery. So that seems like it's only a prime thing. Here's the thing, is I have a feeling that the one that prevents recovery is avoidable, because I think you go into like the mermaid thing and you see that happen, and then that should be your cue if you're a block class, like, I don't want to be hit by this, to either like disengage or to use an iframe or whatever. So I think it'll be avoidable. It's not, but in group play it's going to be hard to avoid just because so much is going on. But outside of that, like the block gauge stuff, like I was talking with some friends about this, because everyone's like, dude, that's so nuts. Like 25%, that's a lot. This is crazy. But it's like, dude, right now, if I'm like if I engage someone with my gear on either Hash or Kuno, like I instantly 100 to 0 people's blocks and they still just go about their business. So I don't know like how crazy it actually is. Like it's really just like it's only the recovery that's actually like really crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't really like the recovery thing.
You don't like I like the recovery thing. I think it's interesting, but it's also very limited. I think, except for the e-buff, which we're gonna talk about in a second. But as far as just her normal abilities, it's only on one single ability with a 20-second cooldown. The recovery thing. So
I don't know. I just think like here's my issue with the whole recovery thing is if you were fighting like if you're an undergeared person fighting an overgeared person, that is such you're base like that there's no way in hell, right? Like there's just no way. If they just instantly kill your block and now you just can't recover your block for an amount of time,
That
I
can
mean,
be
you're
pretty
just
problematic.
you're literally just fucked. There's no way to like beat someone who is like if you're like a guardian fighting a Meiwa, right? And the Meiwa has an ability to prevent you from regenerating your guard and the Meiwa has fucking 50 gear score on you. Like there is no way in hell. They're just gonna instantly annihilate your block. There's nothing you can do, and then you're just gonna lose an SA trade.
I agree, and the SA trades when you have even gear is definitely in favor of the Meiwa, actually.
But what if in the scenario of like, let's say it's this mermaid versus a guardian, right? What if when you see them turn into mermaid form, you kind of know because they turn into a mermaid and then go into the ground. You kind of have the opportunity to avoid getting hit by it. So then is it like that oppressive? And then they can't really do it again for 20 seconds. I don't know. Like I feel like I mean maybe you might be right. Maybe 10 seconds is too long. Maybe it should be 5 seconds. But I do think it's an interesting mechanic because conversely, in that same situation where you're saying like the Meiwa in that example, Meiwa overgearing whatever class it is. I mean, what is the Meiwa supposed to do against a guardian that's overgeared?
Yeah,
in the reverse,
nothing.
Do we have a problem with that as well?
Well, but that's what this change is hoping to solve, right?
Well, this is only for this class,
this
though.
mechanic. I know, but you can't tell me
Currently,
that they're not gonna think about adding this into other classes with all the class reworks coming out. If this is a successful thing, right? To like counter that problem. And I think they should add it to other classes as well that don't have grabs.
I mean, I have no guarantee that they are. I maybe they'll consider it, but I don't know. It seems like people, like the people that are going to play this class are excited for this, and all the people that aren't think that this is busted and shouldn't be a thing.
I honestly think that this specific feature will go through a number of different buffs and nerfs, honestly. Like it's going to take some fine tuning for them to get it right because yes, it could definitely be very abusive towards classes that don't necessarily have the kit that can deal with it.
Here's what I would like to see, right? If you're going to do a mechanic like this, here's how I ideally would like it to be implemented. Don't do the whole can't regen thing, or if you do the whole can't regen thing, you make it like a pretty short amount of time. But I really just don't like that in general. I think you give every non-grab class like 2 of these abilities. They're protected, they don't do a lot of damage, but the block chunk is quite significant. One of them is on a fairly low cooldown, and it's got a fairly quick animation, and it's got a low amount of block percentage take away. So let's say like 10%, right? It's on like a maybe like 6-7 second cooldown. It's 10%. You have to hit their block for it to take away their block, and that's that. Then you have a second skill that's a longer animation, a longer cooldown, and a way bigger chunk percentage, right? So that can be like a 40% or something like that. So that way, the whole time you're fighting, you have like this kind of, if they're ever just sitting in block, you can really just chunk them for a solid, like, let's say like 30-40%. But then like throughout the fight, you're just kind of trying to poke away little by little at their guard with your 10%. And that becomes a game of like making sure you're not blocking whenever that skill is going to get popped, right? Like in my
yeah.
opinion, I feel like that's the way that you would want to implement that
But
personally.
in that scenario that you painted, how are they ever actually breaking the block? Because if they use one super armor ability, it recovers that 40% in 2 seconds.
Yeah. And the
That's-
other
that's
thing
the
is like
thing.
the way Guardians deal with like being slowed to death, they can literally just rotate their iframes, right? So same kind of concept to outlast the gauge block.
Basically, if they use their Phoenix dive every 18 seconds, that's going to full recover their block. If they use the little the slide into the 3/iframe that lingers, that fully recovers their block. And then anytime they use a super, every time they use cleansing flame, they get like 35% of their block back.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, even though that sounds really cool on paper, it's like you're still just not actually making real progress towards anything meaningful. I don't know, like, I don't know how they just would recover it really quick.
Well, it's like that 25% block gauge one. That's for on each hit, and there's 2 hits on that skill, right? So that's
it just
that's
says
a
on
50,
it just
that's
says
a
on
50
hit,
block.
so I don't think it actually would be 50%. I mean, I don't know though. I don't know for sure. It just says
Well,
on
the
hit.
skill literally says there's hit 1 and hit 2. So
Yes, but it
that,
only says
by
on
definition,
hit. It doesn't say on hits or on multiple hits. It just says on hit. So I don't know if it takes 50% or not.
yeah.
But
It's possible it does.
the other thing too is, like, Nayashi, in the scenario of like a Meiwa versus a Guardian, even if you completely outgear the Guardian, you're not killing him because his block is broken. You're killing him because he just died. His block is almost always still available. It's just that you're like getting behind him and killing him, you know?
Well, all right. So let's give some context to that scenario, though. So right now, I don't have the capability of breaking, say, Amortet's block, right?
Right.
We're dueling a little bit last night. I don't have the capability to just pressure through his block unless I like E-buff and do a full like Petal Bloom, Moonlight Dash into him, and maybe a little bit of extra chip damage to break his block. Their block is obviously very tanky. So it's not worth my time to do that, because if he reads me and I'm constantly doing the same thing, he could just end up grabbing me because he knows he's protected from no CC on those 2 skills. So in the context where currently I'm not able to break his guard, yes, I'm 100% am not even bothering with his guard. I'm literally going for back attack damage, and whenever he does a super armor ability, I go and trade it, basically.
Right, you're trading into the SA is the main thing.
Correct, yeah.
But the thing is though, like, even if you could, like, even if all of your abilities, they put the 10% block break on every ability Meiwa has, every time he
I would definitely not agree with that. I think
no,
that would be way too strong.
I'm not saying you would. I'm just giving you an example. Every time he slides, he recovers it. Every time he uses Phoenix Dive, he recovers it. Every time he uses the long iframe, he recovers it. Every time he uses Cleansing Flame, God Incinerator, any of the pre-awakened skills, any of the pre-awakened mobility, or like the little like leap thing,
yeah,
the super armor leap, like
no,
all of that,
understand.
like the recovery speed is so fast that, like, it's not like a Guardian is getting, their block is breaking, they're getting staggered. The other thing too that a lot of people don't realize, if you use a skill with frontal guard, we tested this the other day because someone was telling me about this and I was like, I've not even thought about that. But if you use a skill with frontal guard and your block reaches 0,
you don't get CC'd.
You don't get CC'd. You have to still move around their frontal guard to hit them. It's almost as if they have super armor. They still take damage from the front with a broken block, but they don't actually.
They don't get the stagger back.
Yeah, they don't get the stagger.
They're CC immune from the front.
Right. You only get staggered if you're actually Q blocking or S blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even in the scenario where you break a block in one ability, the next ability they use, if it's super armor or iframe, it's going to recover.
Yeah. So what it's about, though, it's not necessarily like the goal is to break the block and CC them that way, right? That's not necessarily the goal. It's just, it's an alternative situation. You're forcing them to do specific abilities.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's kind of like you're leading them into the path that you want in order to achieve victory.
Right.
That's
So,
what I was about to
but
say. Is
for
it's not about breaking their block and like staggering them, and that's why
Yeah,
you
like-
won. It's about making them do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah, so like
It's
in
about making them go away from what's comfortable for them for what they might be trying to plan. It's like another, like Naishi said, it's another like path for you to go.
No,
Well,
I
it's-
agree with that in concept, but I'm saying in practice, if you really think about it, even with this mechanic, that's why I pointed out to Nayashi, like, if you had 10% block break on every skill, which you said would be way too strong, but in the case of, like, you fighting a Guardian, they literally could do their normal rotation, and they'd be recovering stamina. They wouldn't really have to do anything different. They're already iframing. They're already using Cleansing Flame.
Yeah. And I get what you're talking about. What I'm saying is, like, if they overextend those rotations, which they might have a game plan that incorporates that, they could be punished for that by having no guard, and then they're forced to go into SA, which is favorable to me, right? Because I can definitely outtrade the SAs if I'm equivalent gear to him.
Okay.
And that is not a situation he wants to be in. Forces his iframes. Yes, he'll recover his guard, but his guard isn't going to be fully recovered, depending on how much damage. So the idea is it's pressuring two fronts. You know,
I
like,
understand. I
Yeah.
get it, but I'm saying, like, even
Yeah.
in the, like, I do damage to Amortet's block. It's not
yeah.
changing anything.
I mean, if I was even gear score with Amartet, I'm pretty sure I could definitely pressure his guard, like, a lot more often. Like right now, it's basically only with ebuff, because he's significantly more geared than me right now.
so
but,
this class has. I mean, it really only has the.
I mean,
one.
what if instead of having like a
It's also great in
That's-
large scale, though. It's not
what if
even just a
having what if
1v1
instead
thing.
of having a thing where it prevents your guard from regenerating, we change like guards themselves to where it's like whenever your block gets broken, right, it doesn't regen for a second or two, and then it slowly starts regenning up, and then the closer it gets to 100, like the faster it regens basically. So if you only get their block down to like 80%, then it regens fairly quick, but the lower you get their block down, the slower it like regens up, right? Like what if we change just the block gauge instead of having a skill that does it?
That would allow
like,
you
that
the
just
opportunity
prevents
to
it.
break it rather than it just fully recovering. Yeah.
I mean, the idea
So
is
it's
cool,
like-
but is it affecting all classes equally? Because, like, Ninja's block instantly breaks. Like, their block dies really fast.
My Mayowa's block instantly breaks almost in a lot of cases. Well,
Well, I mean,
I should say
yeah.
actually at my DP it instantly breaks, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For
Um,
me personally, I don't think that. I think on paper this sounds nuts, and it's a really cool idea. But I honestly think the reason they also added is the recovery thing is because of just how easy it is to recover your block anyway. And it's only
Yeah.
on, I mean, literally it's on a 20-second cooldown skill, and then they have this buff, which I'm struggling to fully understand exactly how it works because the wording is really, really weird. But it's this 10-second cooldown buff that looks like it continuously uses mana, 500 MP. It says you will lose 500 MP each time you control it. While active, the following skills gain additional effects. And it says waves will appear and inflict extra hits. Enemies hit by the waves will have their guard gauge decreased by 8%. And then that's on certain skills on Wave Lash, Storming Gale, and Wave Pout. And then on Ocean Pearl, Wipeout, Overflow, and Tide's Kiss, it says enemies hit by the Ocean Pearl will see their guard gauge decrease by 10%. And the Ocean's Pearl power is heightened and its attack range is also increased. Then on the last one, Ocean Melancholy and Storm Surge, they get their block gauge decreased by 10%. So this sounds almost like you're going to have like 3 seconds, or you get to use maybe 3 of these abilities, and then it goes away because you run out of MP or something. It's hard to tell.
Probably, yeah. Like it's a mana dump kind of thing. Here's the other thing, like, not to jump back to the previous thing, but it does say block gauge decreased on hit, right? But we don't know if that is just all it does, or if also the damage you do to the block continuously decreases it as well. So, for example, like you're going to do your normal damage to a block, right? And it, chunks it for however much it does, right? But then you also have this secondary aspect of the skill with the block gauge destruction, essentially, that is compounded on top of it. Is that what's happening? Or is
I
it like
don't
this
think-
skill will only ever do 25%?
No, that wouldn't really make sense because even in the case of like the Mareka whale song, like just looking at the damage numbers and the PvP damage reduction on it, if I hit if I hit a ninja with that and it didn't have the target guard gauge, they would lose way more than 25% of their block. So if they actually only lost 25%, it would be a nerf, not a buff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, depending on how that's read and how it actually functions, that could actually be relatively bad if you're higher AP, because you would expect yourself to break someone's guard. Which I assume they have it where it's a combination, where it does additional 25% block damage rather than just this is all it does. Because that would just be dumb. The higher AP you are, the worse off it is, right? Because you're just not breaking anyone's guard with it. So
yeah, I think it definitely is. It inflicts your damage to their guard, but also takes this percentage.
Correct. I wish they would reword that tooltip to say additional block gauge reduction or something like that. Something that makes more sense. But yeah, that's the other thing too. Like in your scenario you're talking about, Frosty, with the 10% on the skills and whatnot, I'm constantly dealing damage with that. You got to consider that fact too. My other skills are also doing damage as well as the block gauge damage.
Yeah, I am. That's what I'm pointing out though. I just still think it's really in a 1v1 scenario. Like large scale, I think the implication is way bigger. 1v1,
yes, 100%.
A Guardian is still going to be able to get
his
his block back unless you vastly outgear him.
And I think that's their way of balancing it too. Like in a lot of cases, some classes will definitely be able to recover their block still. And in 1v1 scenarios, it won't feel as oppressive. But in large scale, it can be far more beneficial. So maybe that's their way of balancing it.
I don't know. I just really don't like the whole non-recovery thing.
Fair back.
I think the idea of the block break is fine. I'm not a fan of the non-recovery thing because it's a 10-second effect, right?
Yeah, it's 10-second effect. But
it's a 10-second effect on a 20-second cooldown. That means for 50% of your fight, you can't regenerate your block.
If you're being hit by it every time, like but that's like saying, like, dude, if you get hit by, for example, like if you get hit by Dragon's Pit, let's say Dragon's Pit on Mystic had this. Would you not be like, well, why do you keep getting hit by this skill during your fight 100% of the time they use it?
But the thing is if it gives you that effect when you're not even blocking, if it's like a fairly fast ability or has a large AOE, that they're just like, I don't know. It's on one of the. I'm not a fan.
It's on one of the big mermaid skills, and we saw in that clip, like you can see in all of them, she turns into the mermaid. And then like does the ability. So you should be able she literally hops into a mermaid, then does the ability. So you should be able to avoid getting hit by it if you see her turn into a mermaid. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to dodge this. I also wonder too, I wonder specifically on this debuff, on the block recovery debuff, if it's kind of like a slow debuff where it only actually applies if it hits the character and not their guard, because that's also another thing that we don't really know for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't specify that.
I'm not a huge fan of that whole thing. I think if you want to have something like that, if you think that something like that is necessary, then maybe you just tack it on to the block break skills. You just have it be like 1 to 2 seconds of non-regeneration instead of it being just one skill with a 10-second, like, all right, for the next 10 seconds, I basically just get to fuck you. And like, there's really not much you can do about it, defensive speaking.
I mean, but I don't know, in what world does like the prevention of recovery completely just stop the character? Like I'm trying to think, like maybe on Nova just walking around. But all these classes still have protected CCs. They still have super armored. Outside of Suck Nova, I mean, arguably Valk, they still have an iframe. So it's not like you're like disabled for 10 seconds.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I can think of one very serious thing.
Okay.
I don't think you can Q block whenever your block is broken, correct? Like you literally can't do it. So if you're
broken,
stuck,
yes.
If you were stuck at 0% for 10 seconds, that means you literally can't do any of your cancels on an Awakened Warrior. You literally can't combo for 10 seconds
if your block is broken.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That would be debilitating, but that would require both things to have happened. It prevented the recovery and your block be completely broken.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see a lot of ways in which this can go wrong, especially in a situation in which the person who is fighting the Corsair is like lower geared than the Corsair. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a gear disparity, I mean, in most cases, the massive gear disparity is going to result in the person with more gear winning anyway. I don't know.
No,
like,
100%. But like, I feel like this is like almost taking away your ability to even outplay in a lot of ways.
but you can avoid getting hit by it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Unless
Well,
it's
we'll have to
unless
see.
like in practice it's actually completely unavoidable, then yeah, I 100% agree. It's going to be way too strong. If it's completely unavoidable, then yeah, I 100% think like that's not going to be fair at all. But if it's avoidable in any way, then it's like they only get the attempt to do that every 20 seconds, and then they also, coupled with that, have to break your block or get it low enough to break. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't immediately hate the thing because I need to see it in practice. Where my main concern is, which we have to talk about, is the e-buff. Because the way the e-buff is worded is incredibly vague, and it sounds absolutely insane to me. Hold on, let me find the e-buff. These the prime skills? Yeah. Where is this? Whirling slash. Is it e-buff? Am I blind? Here we go. Prime hydropower. So the e-buff gives all AP plus 20, pretty normal. All DP plus 20, pretty normal. All resist 50% for 30 seconds, fairly normal for some classes. And then it says, can receive hide tide effect, prevents guard gauge recovery for 5 seconds on hit. So I don't know if this means while you're also using the buff from this Heirloom of the Crow, where it's like coupled together, so only a couple skills would get this, or if it just means for your entire e-buff, you get this, because that would be way too strong. 30 seconds of where basically like anything you do prevents guard recovery sounds way too busted and insane. I assume it's not that, and it's tied to this Heirloom of the Crow skill, where like it just is adding, as well as the high tide effect, it's also adding this prevents guard gauge for the 2 skills that you use when this buff is up, but I don't know for sure. It's like really confusing, and I need to see it in practice. If that's how that works, like that's actually ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it's like that, because that would just be insane, but...
Alright, I'm back.
Welcome back. I want to talk to you guys about this other thing, aside from the block recovery thing. So this class, everyone keeps telling me it's an iframe class. It's not an iframe class. Like, this class has the only iframes are when it's in mermaid form, when it goes like invisible or jumps into the ground for that brief moment, and then the rest of the skills are super armor. So it only has iframe on those like mermaid skills, but it doesn't have like a short cooldown iframe. So it's a little bit more similar to Awaken Nova in that regard. Like on the mermaid skills, it has the iframe when it goes into the mermaid change or whatever, when she goes underground. But when she's just upright, she doesn't have any normal iframes. It's mostly super armor. And what they're doing to make this, I guess, feel a little bit safer is on a bunch of abilities, they're giving her 5 seconds of 50% grapple resistance.
Which is insane.
So, for example, on Whale Song, 50% grapple resistance for 5 seconds upon using skill. On Jetstream, 50% grapple resistance for 5 seconds upon using skill. On Spiral Soak, 50% for 5 seconds. Basically on every mermaid skill. On 4 of them. What are your guys' thoughts on that being like the anti-grab mechanic?
They obviously
for 5 seconds, and there's 4 different abilities that do it, all on 20-second cooldowns.
They basically don't want her touched other than chip damage in that form. They really want to
Yeah.
preserve that form for some reason.
I mean, those skills are, like you said, those are the ones where the animations are quite long. So I kind of get that they don't want you to just be able to like walk up and grab them as they're doing their like 3-second animation. But yeah, I don't know. 5 seconds maybe a bit much. I don't think there's any skills in there that are 5-second animations, are there? I think they're
No,
usually
I
we
like
don't
2
know
to
yet.
3.
No, looking at that, like again, that little video that we watched, the little streamable link, like
Yeah.
this whole clip is 25 seconds long, and she uses like 8 or 9 ability. Like none of these are.
She
5
recycles
seconds
a
long.
couple of them, but yeah.
None of these
so
are
I don't
5 seconds
I don't
long,
think
you know?
any of her abilities other than her ult is quite long. So like that one I can understand, but I don't think any of them seem like they're longer than like 3 seconds maybe. So like maybe just have it be specifically the duration of like that ability, and like that I can kind of understand, but if it's like you use that ability and it's only like a 1.5 second animation, and so now for 3.5 seconds she's just doing her normal things, but also she can't be grabbed, like that seems a little much. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just depends on how long the animations are. Like I don't mind her having that grab resist for the duration of the animation. But that's to me that's
think
as long
it's-
as it should
I-
go.
I think it should only be a couple seconds as well. I don't think 5 seconds is a little much.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be longer than the animation, I don't think, because that seems to be the purpose of that. So there's no reason to make it longer than the duration of the animation.
Like I personally hate grabs. I think it's a dumb mechanic, but I think that's way too much. I think that's unfair for.
Let me hop over to my Sage real quick. I'm curious, how does Suck Sage's, because Suck Sage's buff
While you're
lasts
in
There's
the
a 2
orb.
second. There's just 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's like while you're in the orb essentially.
but you can come out sooner than 2 seconds.
Early.
So does the
You
buff
can.
Yeah,
stay
it's
on you
just-
past it?
It
I
does,
believe
I
so,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna test this right now.
While you're swapping over.
No, it goes away immediately. It does not last the full
Oh,
duration.
it does?
So maybe that's how it'll work in this mermaid thing. Maybe it'll last up
might.
to 5 seconds, but will only
Maybe
last the
they're-
duration of the mermaid thing. Because yeah, the buff disappears from your bar the moment you come out of Rift Chain, even
Maybe
if you
they're
end it
doing
early.
Like that
5
that
seconds
I
because of
absolutely
if it's slowed.
maybe the longest mermaid animation is 5 seconds. So they made it 5 seconds, but the second you come out of mermaid form, you lose the buff.
Maybe
But-
maybe it's just because the animation is so susceptible to slows that they wanted to make sure that it was covered for grabs.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's obvious that they don't want, because the animations are quite long for all the mermaid things. They don't want you to just walk up and grab them, and like that's fine. If it works like Sage in that regard, then I think that's fine. I have no qualms about it, honestly.
Their 100% is interesting. So their 100% is off of the skill. Basically, it's just like 3-part damage dealing ability on the normal skill, and then as a float on the last hit. Also gives them the evasion buff and the grapple resist. But the 100% version of it basically just has like way more hits, and it gives allies plus 700 max HP for 20 seconds, and all HP recovery. Allies HP recovery plus 200 every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. I'm assuming it's when you're passing through allies. I think they have to be touched by the water or something around you. You have like an aura or whatever. What are your guys' thoughts on this class 100% making it a more viable support class than Shy?
I think it's probably the better direction because it has the the support elements that don't seem ridiculous, but also its combat potential is there.
That actually is huge for like just single engages to 100% buff all of your allies.
Yeah,
I think is actually kind of nuts.
I agree, but I mean, is it really going to be OP? Because like people on the opposing side are also going to be running this.
It doesn't
so
stack, does it?
I would assume not.
Stack with what? Oh, I doubt it. It's probably a buff that'll get replaced on your bar by another. Like if there's more than one, you mean more than one person?
Yeah.
I doubt it'll stack. No, but I also assume it's max 10 targets. I assume you can only yeah, maximum 10 targets. So you can only do it to 10 allies. But I still think in a singular push, like that's actually such a huge buff on an engage. I could actually see that getting nerfed a little bit. Like maybe if it was like max HP 300.
Don't like that.
Why?
Because I think anything that encourages like the whole, all right, everybody just group together in this little bunch, and then we'll have 3 people use an ability before we engage.
Yeah, I'm not a
Anything
big
that
fan of
encourages that
concept
is fucking lame. It's boring. It sucks. We've had it for like 5 years. Get rid of it. Stop doing that. It's bad. No, I don't like it. Lame.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just think it should be a little bit smaller. This is why I think it should, like the 700 HP is a lot. Maybe if it was like 250 where it's something that felt like that's a nice buff but it's not necessary, but 700 is, I mean, that can be a huge difference in a fight.
Yeah, they can be actually. What?
But then again,
Sorry.
like here's the way. Someone's like pointing out nobody's gonna group up for 1K boost, and I kind of agree. Like Shy has that. People don't group up to get that buff, even from Shy's, and their buff is better than that. So I also don't think it's really gonna make people group up.
But here's the thing: is people group up for PA, and a good Shy will use their buffs while people are grouping up for PA. And like this will be the same thing.
Sure. But all it means is, you're just with the group already anyway. It doesn't really change anything necessarily. I don't know. I mean, people die so fast you might not even notice. Who knows? But it's I think the max HP is a little bit too high on it. Is my only.
It might be. All I know is that's what Shies are gonna reroll to that class. Probably.
If this class becomes like a hey, feed your Corsairs, it's gonna be lame. Don't feed me. I'm telling you Noto ahead of time in wars. I'm not buffing you guys unless it's natural. I hate the rage transfer mechanic in this game entirely. It's so
I
dumb.
do too. They should get rid of rage transfer. I said this years ago. They should just get rid of rage transfer entirely. It's an awful mechanic. But they should just reduce the amount of targets. So it'll be good for like if you were to use it in like a flex scenario where you're like you and like 2 other people are trying to tackle this base, right? And it's like, all right, we're gonna like dive into the base, try and get these rebuilds. Let's get this buff real quick, right? Like that's a situation that's like really cool, super useful. Like it doesn't encourage huge ball v ball fucking like let me roll my guild into your guild bullshit. Like that would be neat if like they just make it less targets. Just
what's
make it like maximum.
What's the duration of it?
The HP buff is 20 seconds and the HP recovery is 10 seconds.
Just make it like maximum 3 targets, and honestly, I'm pretty fine with it.
I think you do have to actually make contact with targets because it says let me read it again. Where
if they touch the water.
No, it doesn't say that part necessarily, but I feel like it's like implied. So it says ride gentle waves in mermaid form to navigate through enemies with dream whales, and tidal wave will wash over your enemies soon after. So I think you just have to, like, while you're in mermaid form, you literally have to pass through allies to buff them, I think. Or at least like the water that's around her has to like make contact. I don't know. Anyway, that part's kind of weird. But I wanted to ask you, so I was looking at these skills and I was like watching all the combat. I was watching the combat trailer and the mobility, and I wanted to know, like, because you talked about a little bit off the top that you think it's going to be kind of similar to Suck DK and Awaken Hash. Or, well, I said Awaken Hash, but I think that while its utility is going to be really strong in large scale, so guilds definitely are going to want it, I think on an individual level, I actually think that this class is going to be hard to frag out on because you are almost exclusively in super armor, and the AoEs really aren't that big.
They do have some jump back features and dive back in.
Yeah, they have a lot of mobility and stuff. So you're gonna be like elusive, but in like a group fight, I don't think it's gonna be super easy to like top frag on this class right off the bat, unless like the skills are overtuned and she's just like one-shotting people. But if they're like relatively normally tuned, like if they feel, I don't know, like somewhere between Awaken Hash and Suck Hash. I actually think this is going to be hard to top frag on. Personally.
Probably.
I think a lot of people are going to play it, and it's going to be super fun in 1v1 and in small scale fights and grinding and stuff, and then they're going to be like, ugh, like struggling in large scale because you're just in super armor the whole time, but not a whole lot of ways to avoid being hit by stuff.
Yeah.
Nexosu says Frosty's already making excuses.
For my next tag, dude? Yeah, that's why I'm tagging something else. I've changed. I'm already rolling off this class before
He's already got a roster. He's already got his own roster. Not to jump back to the topic, but do you think the block gauge damage is actually going to do that damage even if they do a super armor ability and you hit their super armor?
I am not 100% sure. I think
if it
just
does,
based on the
then your
plain...
scenario you talked about earlier is like irrelevant. I feel.
Yes, if all of your skills, you mean all of your skills hitting them?
Yeah,
and then it would keep it down forever, right? But the thing is this class, it only has one skill. I believe one. I think
agree.
it only has one skill that does it, and then if you pop this heirloom thing, which I need to see how it actually works, then you technically have two.
And we don't know if that one skill is doing 50% or if it's only 25 based on that whole text of the hit on hit.
So it looks like only Whale Song removes the guard gauge as far as just raw succession abilities. And then potentially the E buff as well. Yeah, that's the only one that actually removes their block. So it's only one 20-second ability, and then they have a separate skill that also prevents the guard recovery, also on a 20-second cooldown. But this E-buff, it sounds like the E-buff will apply it to more situations. I just don't know, and this heirloom skill, I just don't know how it works exactly.
Yeah, we don't have enough info.
Is bad. It sounds like an Excel type thing that instead of using like a separate star bar or whatever they call it, it sounds like it's just using your mana, and once your mana's out, you don't get the tide buff anymore. And I don't know what her mana pool is, but if it's 500 mana per skill, you
should be like
at most 3, right? Like, what's a wizard's mana pool? Isn't theirs like the largest? How much does a Wiz Witch have when you're like level 62, 63 and full like
I have no idea.
Health level? Hopefully someone in chat lets me know. But yeah, if it's 500 per skill, I think you'll run out pretty quick. Plus pots, maybe 4 at most. 1606. Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. She also has 3, it looks like 3 total protected CCs. Although one of them, I'm really curious if she's actually protected at the end. I think there's a chance that she's not, but it looks like she has a protected float on one of the mermaid skills, potentially, as long as she's still super armor on the actual hit at the end. And then another protected float on a separate mermaid ability, and then she has a skill where she spins around and it's a bound and super armor while moving. That looks kind of like, at least the way it looks. I don't know. I don't know how it actually will look in game, but it sounds kind of like the new lawn skill that scoots them backwards. But I can't. It's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's not that. So we'll see. What are your guys? I mean, I don't know. She doesn't have a grab. I assume we're happy that she doesn't have a grab. Are we happy she doesn't have a grab, Rez?
We're happy.
Would you?
And indifferent.
Would you rather her just have a grab and remove all this guard stuff?
Not necessarily, because I think the guard break, again, I think that's a good mechanic for classes that don't have a grab. So if the idea is either non-grab classes get this type of mechanic or non-grab classes get a grab, like that's really ridiculous. So yeah, I'd rather just have this mechanic. I just think my only thing is I'm concerned that this mechanic is too strong. Obviously, we won't know until we get our hands on it. We can test around with it. We can, see how it works in an actual fight. There's a lot of unknowns here, but that's my only thing is I'm concerned that it might be a little bit too much. The fact that you have the guard break plus the non-guard recovery.
Do you think that
I
that
don't
is
know.
stronger than just having a grab on a 10-second cooldown? Like for
No.
a 1v1?
No, I would say grab is still more powerful.
But large scale, it changes, right? Because if you hit
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
people with a guard
Guard
recovery
break.
prevention,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
far more powerful on large scale than grab.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So, because grab only targets one person, whereas this can hit multiple people.
What if you
So,
could
yeah.
grab multiple people, Rizzler?
well, except
How'd
when
you
we
feel
all
about that?
goofily jump into the striker grab trying to save our friend, and then his throwdown knocks us all
And
down
Yeah.
too.
the bound
Yeah.
hits everyone. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is you kind of technically can if people are stupid.
All right, we're not stupid. We're desperate. It's different.
We're desperately trying to save our ally, you know?
No, I think it's stupid. And trust me, that's happened to me plenty of times. I'm stupid.
I
Dude,
mean,
I-
once a striker grabs someone, there's literally nothing you can do to stop them.
You just
Like,
slow
you
debuff him. I always say, I'm like, dude, just slow debuff him, and then once his combo starts, you could try to CC him. But for now, just slow debuff him. Don't try to CC his
Yeah.
grab. He can't be CC'd. He can't even be grabbed
Yeah.
out of the grab.
Yeah.
All right. In our last 3 classes, Hash, Nova, Sage, based on what we know from those launches, do you think that this class is going to come out? Like, where do you see this class coming out as far as like pure power in Node Wars? I don't know, Rez, if you were dealing with Suck Sages in War or not, but I'm going to try to, and not everyone agrees with me, but this is how I remember it, and I feel pretty confident saying this. The launch of Hash, it didn't feel overly strong. Hash didn't feel overly strong until the bombs came out. And then a couple weeks after the bombs came out, it was nerfed. But the launch of Hash didn't feel too strong. It felt pretty all right. Most Awakening Hashes didn't even think it was viable in large scale. A lot still don't. When the bombs came out, it was like super strong. And then they nerfed it only 2 weeks after the bombs came out, or somewhere around there, 2 to 3 weeks after the bombs came out. And I feel like Hash stayed in a fairly comfortable place. There was a while, like a couple months back, where I think a lot of people felt like Hash might be the strongest assassin. But I feel like ever since the Arid nerf, like I see way fewer Hashes and a lot more Ninja and Novas. Nova, when it came out, I mean, Suck is still insane in 1v1, but most people overall don't really like the class, even for large scale. Awakening, I don't think people realized how strong it was at first, but now it seems more and more people are switching to Nova. And then Sage out of the gate was just absolutely insane on Succession.
Yeah.
Once it got its full kit, it was like nuts. And then Awakening started off kind of weak, and then they added the overcharge thing, and it was insane. And now it's kind of been toned down a little bit. I think Awaken Sage still is super strong. But I'm curious, where do you guys think this class is going to come out? Is it going to be like oppressive in Wars, really strong in Wars? Is it going to be meta? What do you think?
I think it's going to be probably a meta class out of the gate.
Really? I disagree.
At least for large scale.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think it's going to provide so much utility in a large scale scenario that you kind of need to have it. Like the block break aspect, block lock basically aspect, and also, even the small HP buffer or the small little thing it does. Like I think even that will be useful too. I just think it's going to provide a lot of different kinds of utility that we haven't had previously. That it'll make it for a good large scale class, even though Frosty did mention that it's going to be very susceptible to being punished as a super armor movement primarily.
Rez?
I think it's gonna be pretty strong, but I don't know. I don't think you're gonna have guilds like flooded with Corsairs. There's probably gonna be
I'd say a handful,
2.
like 5.
No, I don't think even that. I think you're probably gonna have like 2, 3 Corsairs, like in a normal war, and like a 30-man, you might have like 1 to 2. They're gonna be pretty strong, but not like crazy. I think they're gonna be kind of weak on the outset, while people are just kind of like learning what the class does. And then as people start like learning what the class does, it's gonna get better and better essentially.
I think that we as people are very simple, and even though it does have a lot of utility, If you're not getting a lot of kills, you don't care about that utility. Most people don't care. I think that that's fair to say. Like, when you go into a node war, everyone cares about how many kills they got and how many times they died. And I think if the average person is not fragging out, that the amount of people that play this class in node wars is going to fall off pretty early on. And this is like, in all the skill animations and everything I've seen, outside of one singular whale ability that has kind of a decent amount of AoE in front of it, it's like a true melee class. And I like, even if its damage is kind of nuts, like I'm thinking like Suck DK has really good damage, but people struggle with it in war. Like, you have to be really good.
Yeah,
and positioning is important. So
and it's very elusive too if played well.
I think it'll be strong, but I think the average person's gonna have a hard time finding success with it in node wars with all the damage.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you're gonna have, like, initially you're gonna have more of them, but they're not gonna
initially
be very
everyone's gonna play.
good.
It's
Yeah, and they're
archetype
not
and
gonna
look,
be very
everyone
good.
wants to play it.
After like, I don't know, like 3 weeks to a month, you're gonna have a lot less of them, but you're gonna start running into ones where you're like, holy shit, this dude's really good. And then eventually it's gonna become one of those classes where it's like fairly popular, like it's not super low on the list, but most of them are just like competent, and there's gonna be a couple really insane ones. It's just gonna be one of those like mid-tier classes, I think. Both in popularity and in like ability.
Everyone will average a like 7 to 6 KD ratio, except for Smoover, who will be like 100 kills and 5 deaths. But everyone else is gonna struggle. That's how it'll play. That's how I see it. Like, someone's like the average list of Corsairs of players that are like appropriately geared for the war they're in, they'll be like 30 kills and 24 deaths, and then there's gonna be a bunch of people that are negative because they came from a sage or wizard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't see this class. I don't see this class becoming meta in the same way that like a witch, a wizard, a sage. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
What
honestly.
about in 1v1 battle arena class?
I don't think so.
You don't think it'll be very good in 1v1?
I don't think it'll be good enough.
Like, where do you see it? Like,
I think even with its
what class?
I think it'll excel in like 3v3s, but in 1v1s, I think it'll be kind of lackluster. Like, I think assassin classes will probably still have a really good shot on it, even though
it'll still get tendon cuttered.
It'll still get tendon cuttered. And I think the shield classes, even though the block gauge thing will be annoying for them, I think they have plenty of like different kinds of like skills and mobility and whatnot to like get out of a scenario where the block is being threatened heavily. I think 1v1 is just like not really favorable for that mechanic, as much as it is for large scale. Now it depends on how it's used and whatnot. So we obviously I don't have very many skills visually to look at and see how they function in PvP. So
right,
this is all subject to lacking information here. But if it's like really elusive and it can like stay on top of you and pressure you really hard, well then that can change, and 1v1 might be like really devastating. But if it's like kind of like a dip in and out, kind of class, probably not all that great in 1v1.
So here's an interesting thing, and I don't know, because I don't know if maybe the Prime version is different, but the skill Mareka Swing, it says throw a rope imbued with the might of the waves and get ready to move further, which sounds to me like the lasso ability, right?
Sounds like
yeah.
Cooldown is 5 seconds, but the weird thing about this skill is it says forward guard at the start of the skill, effect nullified during cooldown. Like, I think swinging around, if this skill is only forward guard at the start, swinging around is going to be really hard to move in group fights with the swinging. You're going to have to definitely just use the side dash. But I don't know. I'm really curious if that's skill is just forward guard.
If it is, that's kind of rough for that class then. I thought it was going to be super armor for sure.
But it also has like this one also says slide with Mareka Swing, as if you're sailing atop waves. So maybe you start off throwing the Mareka swing. Maybe that's what that is. The throwing the rope out is forward guard at the start, but then the actual mobility is super armor. That's kind of
That's probably more likely what it is.
right.
That makes more sense, honestly.
I don't know. I'm really curious. It's like pretty. It's so unique in all of that stuff, the mobility and stuff.
Yeah.
Because this mobility skill, that's a 2-second cooldown, super armor while using skill, collision check on forward chase, has like a damage modifier. It's like 768 times 1, max 9 hits with 100% crit.
Now here's my question. Will this mobility skill that allows you to swing around,
Mm-hmm.
how will the hitbox be generated? Is it at the original location or is it constantly moving?
Oh, you're gonna get grabbed out of the battle.
You're
arena
gonna
from a
get grabbed
mile
at your
away, dude.
original location.
Unless you have that grapple resist buff up, but I don't know.
Oh
that,
yeah.
Like after testing the Sage one, that might actually only be during the mermaid skills. Like
Probably. I assume it would be. Those mermaid skills seem like they might have longer animations than normal.
yeah, when she has her wet scales, she's slippery, dude. It's hard to grab her. It actually makes sense.
Yeah, that actually does make sense. The slippery scallywags.
Slippery Scally. That's the worst gang name of all time.
It's moist.
All right. So this class, let me hop over to the official website real quick. This class is coming out Tuesday, June 9th or June 29th, sorry. They already added the maintenance schedule for it. So maintenance is happening Monday night. It's going to be a 1 day early maintenance. Maintenance is happening Monday night, and then the server goes live Tuesday morning. So if you're calling in sick, Tuesday morning is the day. Also, I'm going to need a power level. Nayashi, if you're
What's that?
free. If you want to take Tuesday off to power level me, I totally understand.
Take Tuesday off work to power level you.
Yeah.
You know, I've been working remote anyways for like the last 3 weeks because of my car, but
You mean the
is
the
maintenance going to be
RV?
on Tuesday?
Yeah, it says that it's going to be Monday. According to this schedule, it's going to be Monday night. So this is going to be the first true global release because all of the servers are basically going to get it the same day. I think like NAEU might arguably, and maybe even consoles might be getting it first because it's Tuesday morning, and then a little bit later in the day, Taiwan's getting it, KR's getting it, SEA's getting it. I'm pretty sure everyone is getting it the same Tuesday the 29th. It's kind of crazy.
Interesting.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, that is
actually.
crazy.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. Same day seasons is coming out as well. Summer season, they kind of took seasons off for a while. Summer season's beginning June 29th. Yeah, so it should be kind of cool. There's rewards for making both a Corsair and a seasonal character. So if you want double the rewards, make a seasonal Corsair. They did say that you'll be able to graduate earlier than usual. They're changing the way season graduation works. They have not announced any of the rewards or anything yet, but I assume we'll see them in a couple days here. I'm freaking excited. Like I think that the Corsair looks super fun. Sage was way too slow for me. Nova is way too slow for me. And the other thing that in pre-awakening and then the awakening was like felt really small, and I don't like the way it fits with the pre-awakening kit. The thing that's different about this kit is it almost feels like, unless they just go full 180 and the awakening is really, really slow on this new class, I can
Reverse
see,
Nova.
yeah, I can see all of these skills working pretty smoothly with any awaken kit. Like if you were to give this pre-awakening to like any of the existing classes awakening kit, like I think that it would vibe pretty well with most of them.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, Corsair, I'm hyped. Rezlar deep down is hyped because he loves grinding Poly. Dude, Poly's is about to be a shit show.
Oh my god.
With the pen accessory thing daily going on and the new class and seasons, like Poly's is about to be absolutely insane.
Frosty, Mina just linked me another clip where you can see some more abilities and you see them from kind of a better view
Okay.
and better distance.
Let me stream this through Discord.
You fail to remember Crescents might be fucking chaos too, you know?
Yeah, Crescents is nuts too. Okay, here we go. Hit and play.
와,
Her mobility looks pretty nuts. Yeah, that whale skill looks like it actually has some AoE. Dude, when she moves in the whale thing, it's actually fast as shit. This class is gonna be so fun, dude. I cannot wait. Oh my god, I'm like a little. I'm not gonna be able to sleep Monday night. I'm literally just gonna be stuck awake like an idiot. I'm not kidding, dude.
The movement right there at the very beginning is crazy, dude.
Yeah, look at the second whale ability. Like, look at how far she moves with that second whale ability. This mermaid ability. This one right here.
Maybe now we're gonna get naval combat. This is what they've been waiting for this whole time.
Dude, look at
Start
these.
it from the very beginning again. Look at how fast she moves.
Yeah.
She moves like as fast as an awakened Nova, dude. It's crazy.
Oh.
I really hope not.
I think her in-fight mobility is going to be nuts. I don't think her I don't think her chase potential is going to be that crazy. It'll probably be pretty good, but not like, I don't think it'd be like Nova or Hash.
I got ran down by an awakened Nova in Tiger Blade spamming the chase cancel in the other day's war. It was the most ridiculous thing. I'm literally spamming chase cancel in Tiger Blade, literally the fastest mobility, and I got caught up to by a Nova. And of course, one of their dash skills does a lot of damage, and obviously my gear makes it easy to kill me. So yeah, she fucking killed me in Tiger Blade chase cancel. And it's like I had quite a bit of distance where I ran away to, and I just got fucking brutally just caught up to and just destroyed.
It's actually crazy in this clip how many people they have from Florida here.
Oh my god.
In a nice organized little circle.
Those are Koreans. What are you talking about?
I can't tell. They look Floridian to me. All right. Dude, okay, the class looks fun. I can't wait. The class looks so fun, dude. I can't wait. All right, let's talk about we got to move on from the Corsair. The Corsair looks super dope though. I can't wait. But there was a million other things at the Heidel ball. Let me pull up, actually I'm going to use that same guy's video as a reference real quick, cuz he also had a video of the first little demo they had of the class rework. Let me pull it up. Where is it? There we go.
This is the thing I'm most excited about.
Okay, so here's kind of how they worded it. They said, quote, they will be doing a character reboot on 17 of the classes in the game, the first 17 classes, and they had like a bunch of icons that kind of flashed across the screen, but it was the first 17 classes. And they said that in this rework, they will be making changes all the way from classes hit rate and accuracy, better skill effects, attack range changes, updates on unused abilities, and adding inherent traits to other classes, such as how Sage can open doors like a raptor, and the the Sage has had open doors, and like how Hash can run fast in the desert, etc., etc. So 17 of the classes are going to get a rework. This was their demo. This was their sample of like, hey, we've gotten started on some of these class reworks. Here is an example of them testing out one of the classes that's being reworked. So here we go. This is the video, streaming it for you guys. This is a ranger. Let me get the sound up actually.
What is that mini map?
It's so cool. I want that mini map. It looks like it has better performance than our mini maps. Yep. And then he goes through, uses the skills a little bit more quickly together in a combo. And then he does the skills over here. So in this clip, for those who don't know Ranger, this first ability is Waltz, normal skill. They've already had it before. The second ability is Breezy Blade. They use Wind Step into Breezy Blade. And then right after that, they use Regeneration and then they blow up regeneration with Nature's Tremble. Those things all exist in the game currently. And then this first skill, this is the first new skill they use. It looks like just an AoE slash where she spins, pretty decent size AoE, and she has forward guard during it. And then this is new, where she kind of throws this range thing that almost looks like regeneration, just like fires a laser beam at the mob on the ground. But the cool thing is, she then uses this, which is also new, an iframe backflip into a super armor backflip, or somersault, whatever you would call that, and does this ranged seed-looking ability again, which looks insane and really cool. And like, for anyone who doesn't know Ranger, they don't actually have any ranged abilities in their Awaken kit. So this is the first time that they've actually shown kind of a ranged ability in Awaken kit, and it looks pretty cool. But just in like this little demo, which they said is like just kind of started development or whatever, I mean, the skills, I don't know if they're entirely new skills or other skills got completely reworked to make these skills, but they are very different. Like, these are really, really different. So I wanted to ask you guys, because I mean, people that play their class and have mained their class forever and love their class, like I've seen kind of two different sides of this. It's one, there's a bunch of people that are like, dude, my class sucks. Like, for me personally, I'm like, man, I would love a rework on Kuno, because in Node Wars, Kuno is really tough right now. But there's other people that, for example, if you absolutely love the way Ninja plays, you're kind of afraid that whatever these changes are either going to A, dumb it down. I've seen a lot of people say like it's going to dumb it down, or make the class too easy, or B, change it so where the playstyle doesn't feel the same and it's not like the class that they love. So I'm curious, starting with you, Reslar, how do you feel about this rework, specifically for your class, but for all the classes in general?
I don't know. I think most Zerkers feel like Zerker's actually in a pretty decent place at the moment. The new skill is super powerful, as everyone knows. Seismic. I don't know. Succession is kind of weak, but I don't know if they're gonna touch Succession. I don't know if they're just gonna be doing Awakening or if they're just going to do like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Succession needs work from Zerker perspective, not Awakening. Awakening is fine aside from over reliance on Q buff. So like maybe nerf Q buff a bit and then just increase some other like capabilities of Zerker, and that'll be fine.
Even though us suck Zerkers in the finals.
Yeah, well, the thing is like Suck Zerker in Node Wars is like kind of lackluster. I don't know. Its ebuff is pretty whatever. Its 100 is really strong, as far as like for team play goes. But as far as like performing well, like you said, people want to be getting kills and like feeling like they're doing a lot. And I don't really think Suckzerker has nearly the capability of that as Awaken does. So I don't know.
Would you say Suckzerker's pretty good every 30 minutes if someone feeds you rage?
Nobody even does that anymore.
Well, because no one plays it.
Well, yeah, because it's like it's not good.
I implore all those Suckzerkers to go play Suck Kuno and War Arena.
It's not good in large scale. Like in 1v1s, it's fairly similar. I honestly feel like it's maybe a little bit weaker than Awakening in 1v1s. Mostly because of Moving Shot. Moving Shot is a really, really powerful tool for 1v1s for Awakened Zerker that Succession doesn't have any equivalent to whatsoever. But I mean, I don't know. They're fairly close in 1v1s, but in large scale, Awakened Zerker just overshines it like a lot. As far as like what am I concerned about? I don't know. I don't think they're really gonna do much to Zerker other than like maybe touch up some animations, maybe adjust some like attack ranges. I don't know. Maybe they'll try and make some of the million useless skills we have in our pre-awakening useful. But that's not a thing specific to Zerker. That's in every old class has that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
So I don't know. I'm not really too worried about it. I think at the end of the day, you actually can't. If they did anything to drastically change Zerker, it would only be for the worse, and so I don't think they're gonna do anything that was going to like super dramatically change the class.
You think it would
It's
only
still
be for the worse if they revamped some of your skills?
no, I'm saying if they super dramatically like change things. So if they like try to make it less reliant on grabs, or if they like try to make it like less reliant on Q buff and node wars, I think while the goal is admirable and like I can understand why you would want to do that, I think that they would end up just making it worse. So I don't think they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I don't
actually,
know.
specifically for your class, and then just in general, the class reworks.
So I'm pretty excited about it. Our class has been needing some adjustments for a while. We don't obviously do really all that bad in large scale, as you've seen some players can pop up, but I'd say it's more often than not, it's geared to a certain play style that maybe not every Mayo player would enjoy. Um, the the main thing I'm really hoping for is, like they do something interesting, like say the block gauge thing. I don't necessarily, 100% want that, but I would like to see something like, either new or something that helps out in those kinds of matchups.
Right.
Also revamping our mobility a little bit. I think Chase just has a lot of problems right now. The stamina cost that we have is just ridiculous. Still, they just need to modernize the pre-waking kits a little bit too. We have a lot of, like Prezlar was saying, we have a lot of skills that are relatively useless that we don't
Yeah,
even
all the
bother
old
with.
classes have a million skills that do
Yeah.
absolutely nothing and just stay locked at all times.
Yup. Like I can decapitation is locked at all times. Our old D-Bite, Dragon Bite, Dragon Claw, and Lunar Slash combo no one utilizes anymore. I wish that would actually do something useful. Whirlwind Cut no one really uses from pre-awakening. Back sip slashes are good. They revamped that, and that was nice. Dividers relatively useless except for a cancel for Tiger Blade, Chase. Some of the arrows are kind of needing a little bit of love, but yeah, I mean, I really hope that they do something with a lot of the pre-awakening kit. I really want to see a revamp on Tiger Blade. I think it's so silly that they incorporated a cancel aspect for succession for Tiger Blade so that you can get out whenever you want using Red Moon, but yet we still don't have that for Awakening. So
Yeah.
staying in there for 30 seconds is it's just silly to me. And then on top of that, the Tiger Blade abilities are just garbage right now. Like offensively, they're pretty garbage. Even in succession, I don't even consider it good at all. So yeah, I would like to see stuff like that getting adjusted.
It's not even good against stun traps anymore because the poison traps just kill you.
I actually have not died to a poison trap yet, but yeah, no, it's just the kit's just old. It's just really, really old. That's all. And it just needs to be revamped. And I'm glad they're doing this and considering this. I am, like you mentioned, a little nervous about some aspects of it. I really don't want them to really screw our class over at all. But at the same time, it's kind of like we're at that desperate moment where we need something. So
Yeah,
we'd almost
I
take
don't-
anything.
I mean, maybe I'm like,
Hands said that if they fuck up Warrior, basically, or if they take too many of his cancels away or something like that, he's done with the game. So, like, I could understand from his point of view. He likes
I
a
don't
lot of that
think
high octane.
Well, that's
PvP.
that's a very real concern for a warrior because high end
Yeah.
warrior play is insane, and
Yeah.
I think specifically for awakened warrior, there is a very real threat of them dumbing it down.
Yeah, I can understand that. So I don't really see
Right.
that threat with Mewa.
I don't think though. Yeah, there is a. I agree. There's a chance like some of that stuff becomes more simple or whatever, and like some of the higher end warriors don't like it. I don't think these reworks are nerfs though. So I don't think their intention is to nerf
Correct.
these classes. Like that's not. I don't know how that could even be.
It's not, but it's not a nerf to make something simple. And
No,
in fact,
I'm
a lot of
talking
times it could be a
separately. I
buff.
said I agree that
Oh,
that
okay.
might happen, but I'm saying separately, like he's saying, like I hope they don't screw our class over, and I'm just trying to think like how in the current state of Meiwa, like what rework changes could they do to make Meiwa like a worse class, which seems so weird to me.
That's why I said I don't foresee that being an issue for my class. Like I said, we're at a point in time where we're more desperate for anything than you know, put out of fear of them screwing something up. I don't see that being a problem.
Nayashe is basically the opposite of me, where I'm like, I'm pretty content with where Awakened Zerker is at. So whenever you start talking about reworks, I'm kind of like giving you the side eye, like, what exactly are you gonna change? Whereas Nayashe's like, honestly, I'll take pretty much anything I can get. It's like,
yeah, it's just when I see these new classes come out, it really kind of like it can be kind of demoralizing in a way. Like, you know, you see Awaken Nova's movement. It's just like insane. And then I just get caught out on my fastest mobility skills from a lot of classes nowadays after all the like changes. It just, I don't, my class's identity feels like targeted right now. Like I don't have the same identity that I used to back in the day for obvious reasons. A lot has changed in the game, but you know, I want to see basically our identity come back, or you know, I don't see them doing enough changes to make our identity change. So I would like to see our identity come back to some level, you know. And like I said, it's not that we do terrible in large scale. I think, you know, there's definitely players out there that can do really well with Melee in large scale.
What is your identity on that class? Like what you said, bring our identity back. What is?
We were always considered a class that was originally the fastest. Now that has obviously changed, and excelling at 1v1. That's no longer like as true as it used to be. I mean, we could still excel at 1v1 depending on how well we know our opponent kit and whatnot, but generally there's a lot of classes that just have a lot of mechanics that just outright beat ours. Lacking, you know, iframes to deal with a lot of, you know, either a lot of damage out there or all the slows and whatnot, avoiding grabs. We just don't have the potential that we used to back in the day for obvious reasons. You know, a lot changed. So I just we don't excel at the flex roll as well anymore. I feel personally, like we used to, and you know, we can still play on the outskirts of the ball, kind of like what Bass does, right? And like he pops off on large scale. We can still play around the ball, but you know, I think a lot of that has to do with how our particular guild's comp works with that too.
So what about for like the other classes? Are you concerned any of them are going to become like too strong?
Become monsters? I mean, not really. Like I know a lot of players have that mentality, like, oh, buffs to another class is an indirect buff or indirect nerf to us. I understand the idea, and yeah, that can be true. Sometimes when a new class comes out, it's auto nerf to us, you know, in that regard is what their idea is. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm at this point in time where I think our class, whatever we can get, is going to be a benefit. I don't really think, you know, I'm not necessarily nervous about other classes getting too strong because of these changes. I think we have just as much potential to get strong, if not stronger, because of the state we're in. You know, I kind of feel like we're middle tier as far as like overall. You know, like we do really well in PvE. We do okay-ish in 1v1s, a little bit okay-ish to decent in 1v1s. And large scale is kind of like it depends on you, the player, and how you play. And the style you play. So it's like we're like sort of middle ground, I feel, right now. So I think it'd be really hard for them to fuck us up, and it's to our benefit to let them do this rework and be happy with whatever they do, because I think it's only going to benefit the class.
I should say, by the way, I forgot to say, just like overall, I'm like cautiously excited about the overall idea of like, hey, we're gonna go back and revamp all the old classes, because we've been saying that they need to take a look at all the old classes for a while now. So the fact that they're actually doing it is quite exciting.
Yeah.
I say cautiously though, because it is Pearl Abyss, the notorious like good idea, bad execution company.
True.
So I'm like
But-
excited, but also like that's why I say cautiously
but-
excited.
But to add to that, since they've taken over, I mean, honestly, their execution on things that they've implemented has actually not been half bad. Like, since they've taken over, I haven't seen an implementation that we all really hated, right?
So far, yeah. I mean, I don't feel the same that everything is implemented poorly personally. I think they've done a pretty good job.
Not
especially in the last-
everything. It's just that they do it a lot. It happens a lot where it's
In
like,
the
that's a
past,
really
I
cool
agree.
idea, and then it gets implemented, and then it's like, well.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the last like year and a half has been really, really positive overall.
Correct.
But I mean, there's things that aren't great, but for the most part, but I don't know. Who cares? I'm a white knight, so
You're
so
paid by
I was
PA.
thinking about this revamp for my class in particular, and I know every class has this, so I'm not taking away from every other class, because basically every awakening class outside of like the most recent new awakenings have skills that aren't really usable. But I was thinking about this in large scale on Kuno. Basically we have Sosprey Sonin is not usable, Flow Chakram Rise is not usable, Flow Indignation is not usable, Chain Crash is not usable, Lunatic Discus is arguable. If you get in a 1v1 situation you can use it, but we have like 6 of our awakening abilities are not, I can't even use it in large scale unless I'm just 100% by myself with one other player and no one else is around. And I think that's actually crazy. On top of obviously like the damage of like spin and stuff, just not doing a whole lot. Succession has a ton of usable abilities. It's just that it's really tough because there's nothing protected. But I don't even care. They can completely change Kuno at this point because it's so outdated. The Awakening kit, it feels. It doesn't have big AoEs. It doesn't have insane damage. It doesn't have insane mobility. Like, I don't know what it brings. I mean, it kind of feels a little bit like you're talking about with Maywa. Like, it just feels like it doesn't have any identity. Like,
yeah.
Which
It's
is
like
so...
there's always a class that just does what we do better. That's like, you can look at a number of the newer classes and you could honestly say, yeah, it just does what we do better.
But
right?
even outside of that, like, it came out at the same time as Ninja, and Ninja is so viable. Like, everything about Ninja's Awakening is like really well done and nice and powerful and feels good, and it's just so strange to me that Kuno fell so far behind and never
Ninja's
really
just
caught
more
up.
popular. I think that's the original reason why it was more popular in KR, and I think that's what PA focused on. Just like with Warrior, Sork.
I don't know. I don't buy that they're
Wizards.
just focusing on Ninja. 'Cause, I mean, Ninja wasn't the most popular though for a long time. Like, it was. I mean, I think the archetype is popular, but a female ninja, in theory, I don't see why a female ninja shouldn't be as popular as a ninja. And back in the day, like, there were Kunos. I mean, it wasn't like Kuno's the most popular class, but ninjas were not pre-CC changes. It wasn't like there was a bunch of ninjas running around. Like, there was probably a similar number of both. So I don't know. I just think it's like, it's just strange to me that over time it's fallen so far behind and a lot of other classes have caught up. And I know a lot of classes feel that way too. And then like the one that really blows my mind where I'm like, oh my God, this revamp, maybe like our PvE is going to be good. Cause like they've tried. I mean, they keep buffing the PvE and it still just doesn't work. Like I was saying on stream like a few weeks ago, like, dude, at this point, like, I don't even blame them now. Like, I looked at these PvE buffs for Kuno, the last set, and I was like, hell yeah, like, this is going to be really good. And then, like, in practice, I'm like, man, it, like, still just doesn't kill anything. It's, like, mostly single target abilities, and I don't know, just doesn't have a way to pull, and I don't know, it's, like, kind of weird. So, for me, personally, I'm really excited for the revamp. I also, like, when I think about it compared to other games, I don't the game is 5 years old, and some of the classes are kind of stuck in where they were when Awakening first came out, or like even a lesser version in the case of like Meiwa, or Kuno.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to keep the game fresh and not forget about the older classes, is actually a really, really cool thing.
Yeah.
And like, while I totally understand where McCann's is at in like, if the warrior gets dumbed down too much, it's not going to be as fun to play. And I think that I
For the
don't,
health of
I
the
don't,
game,
I
it's
don't
better,
think
though.
they'll do that personally, but who knows? I mean, there's always that chance. But I think even warrior, like, I don't know, warrior. It's not like warrior's like this really popular large scale class. There's a lot of aspects in the game where warrior isn't that great, even though its
Yeah.
kit on paper is like super good, and in 1v1 it's super good.
I mean, hell, Awakened Warriors don't even like grinding at orcs.
yeah.
They just struggle in a lot of different areas. So
Also, a lot of the cancels on warrior are newer, not older. So I feel like their design
True.
philosophy is not anti-cancels
yeah,
necessarily.
I think that's true too.
So I think it'll be all right, but who knows? You know, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely still skills. I'm sure if a warrior, as good as they are and as like nice as their kit feels, if they look at their awakening kit, there's at least 2 or 3 abilities where they're like, dude, these could definitely use changes. Like, this ability is just not really good. Same with ninja. I mean, you still have I don't know, like, I know they tried to do something with corrupted sword dance. I still don't think it's a very good skill. I still think mock explosion and chaos spree are really oddly not usable skills. I mean, there's like, it gets you into awakening, I guess, with the mock explosion from the hotbar, but it's still not particularly amazing. Most ninjas still just C-swap. I don't know. There's like a lot of skills that I still think, even on classes that are good, that could be revamped and just make it like fun to use. Like, I don't know. At the end of the day, if I'm on a good class, because I was thinking about this, I saw someone say like, dude, they better not revamp classes like ninja and warrior that are already good. And I'm just like, why? Like, what a horrible like mentality of like, it's not fair if these classes, they're already strong, it's not fair if they get revamped. It's like, it's not really about necessarily just strength, but also like how relevant and fresh and fun it is to play.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's for longevity of the game, keeping the game healthy. Like, they gotta do the rework on these classes. Doesn't matter what their current state is. It's to make players want to continue to play and enjoy the game.
And also, there's like always something that can be done, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
nothing is ever in any game perfectly balanced,
Yeah,
right?
you can remove the mini lawn grab that's on Ninja. You know, like, they could do a lot of number of reworks here.
You couldn't remove it, yeah.
I did want to say as well, by the way, another thing that this is big for, and like, of course I think of this because this is literally me, is people that played other classes before but don't anymore. Like, I'm excited. I'm kind of like wary of berserker changes, and I kind of don't want them to change too much of anything, hopefully, just because I'm worried about it. But like, I am hyped as fuck to see what they do to Witch. Like, as an ex-Witch, I am really excited to see what they do with that. I want to
Oh,
see
God, I
what
didn't even think
changes
about
they
that.
make.
I'm not.
Well, I'm kind of. I mean, I actually kind of brought this up a little bit when he was talking about the Meiwa, but I'm curious for you, Reslar. Is there anything from the Succession kit on Zerker that you're like, man, I wish Awakening also had that?
Um, I mean, nothing that wouldn't make it like really powerful.
No, I mean,
Is
even
the
if it
thing.
makes it really powerful, like it could be anything,
Like,
like something you're like,
Succession
dude,
and
this would be sick.
Awakening have some pretty decent trade-offs because Succession is way faster than Awakening.
Mhm.
Like, it covers way more ground, it's way faster, and even though it maybe has similar protection or even less protection, by dint of it being so fucking fast, it actually in effect is like safer in a weird fucking way. I don't know if you're like, I still think if you're gonna change Zerker, yeah, I have a list of changes in my head that I think I would do to Awaken Zerker that would be fine. Giant Leap is iframe from launch to land instead of the dumb fuck second half thing that it does. Nerf Q buff. It can still be like
So
it
would,
can still
would
be.
Giant Sleep with the core just be an iframe float?
Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's super armor while you're charging,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's only on hit, on launch, and on land is the thing. So, if you ever see a Zerker just sitting there holding their Giant Leap, they almost certainly have the core version, and they're trying to bait you into it. It's a really easily telegraphed thing. It's not something that they can just whip out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I don't know how big a fan I am of iframe CCs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's scary.
Not personally a fan either.
It's just like, I don't know. That's something that like really hurts like Zerker in like large scale and would really help with the whole like movement thing. Another thing is like removing hit stutter, which I think that should just go
Oh
in
my
general.
God.
Yeah.
Hit stutter
Yeah.
should just not be a thing.
Yeah,
but
that shit needs to be just gone. Like,
Yeah.
I really hope they include that in the rework.
that would be really helpful for Zerker. That like
Be so
Lava
helpful for
Piercer-
Mewa.
Lava Piercer gets fucked by hit stutter, Predatory gets fucked by hit stutter, like
It's
Giant Leap
A
gets
lot of
fucked by hit
classes have
stutter.
it. It's any basically moving skill where you can be hit.
Yeah.
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 But
That's why I'm specifically pointing that out, because like that's a thing that I know it affects every class, but like man, is it fucking brutal on Zerker, man.
It's pretty awful.
It just needs to go in general. That's not even a class specific thing. That's just like slow stacking where it's like that just needs to go.
Yeah.
They mentioned this
also
in the Q&A where they said that it was in one of the questions, but they said that they are working on fixing FPS drops issues, fixing frame rate equals DPS problems, and fixing issues where the speed of skills is changed when you're being hit. And they said,
oh, really? They did say that.
They mentioned all of that, and they said it's a work in progress, but it'll still be some time before they have it solved.
Well, hopefully they do just those.
Also, hold on, pause, and then rewind. You said you have a problem with iframe CCs, but Archer's had one literally since it came out, and nobody complains about it.
Well, the class is struggling, so
which iframe CC?
Their role. Their role is an iframe into a knockdown, and they've had it literally since the class came out.
Is the knockdown part of it iframe? Like where the actual hit is?
No, it's iframe into a CC.
Yeah, well that's like airstrike. That's not like the worst, but I'm saying like if the actual hit is if the actual CC is an iframe, that's what scares me. That's all I'm saying.
I don't understand. Like, what do you mean if the actual hit is a
like
I
the
mean
entire
exactly what I'm
animation
saying.
itself is iframe,
Yeah.
meaning the
But
hit
it's
and
not.
the animation itself.
It's super armor into iframe.
Right, but you're saying you want it to just be iframe. Is that not what you're saying?
No, I'm saying while you're on the ground, while you're holding the Giant Leap, it is super armor. So it's super armor up until the point you go launching into the air.
Okay, so you want after the hit and the float and the explosion has all resolved, you should be an iframe.
Yes.
Okay, that's after then. That's not an iframe CC. That's what I was asking you.
Yeah. That's what I'm in the air. That's what I'm saying is in the air it should just be an iframe.
Yeah, that
not
makes
while
sense.
you're on the ground. On the ground that'd be fucking insane. I'm saying while you're in the air, while you were flying through the air, that shit should be iframe. I don't understand why it's only iframe on the second half of the in the air portion.
I don't know. Tamers want
That's
to
what
know
I'm
the
saying.
same thing. Why their entire thing is super armor, not iframe.
I mean, yeah, I would say the same, especially more for Tamer that's squishy as shit. Like, it doesn't make sense why Guardian, literally the tankiest class in this whole game, has instant on-demand iframe with, like, no ifs, ands, or buts. But then, like, Zerker and Tamer, which are significantly less tanky, like, just get fucked. It's really weird, champ, to me.
Because you got 4 grabs, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
that's what they'd say.
I don't know. Zerkers are. I would refrain from comparing to other classes, honestly, because it's like right now in war, I think guilds want Zerkers way more than they want Guardians.
Oh no, they definitely do, because like I said, Zerker's strong right now. I'm just saying specifically, like, that would be a really good buff in the ability of Zerkers to like get out. Like the Zerkers have a lot of get in, not so much get out. Their get out is very, very lackluster. And their whole kind of like kit is set up around you go in, do your big damage, and then you get out. But like I said, that get out part is like really lackluster. That being said, I can't stress enough that I think Zerker is fine. Like I have no qualms about where Zerker is right now. It's pretty strong.
All right, so that
Awaken, that is.
that rework is coming in October. They said mid-October or the beginning of October, the beginning or mid-October, and they said that from the start of it, like when the first class comes out until all classes are out, will be at most 3 total weeks,
Which is wild.
which is pretty cool. Yeah, so there is that, and that's it. So all
Dude.
these classes should be are going to be reworked, which again, like, I still just think overall it's a good thing to keep like the game fresh. I do wonder if they only mean Awakening, or if it's both Pre-Awakening and Awakening, and or if it's like if they're gonna touch Successions at all, because I don't know, like even some of the suck kits at this point are already feel a little bit outdated, even though they're pretty new. So I don't know. They only showed the Ranger ones, which were only Awakening skills so far, so, or at least in Awakening stance. I was also saying, just one last thing before we move on from the topic. I hope they're not afraid to take a skill that's completely unusable
and just make a new
completely
skill.
scrap it and make a new skill entirely.
I am in full agreement.
Because like Sosprey Sonin, for example, on Kuno is just, they've tried to buff it 1,000 times. It's never going to be usable. It would be cool if they just gave us a new skill entirely, like something usable, fun, different that has like cool animation.
I think that's basically what they were kind of showing with Rangers, the new skills. They plan on adding new skills, right? So
Yeah, like I'm looking, whatever these 2 skills are, they look new and or maybe reworked. I just don't know what skills they possibly could be, but like this circle spin hit skill, I suppose it could be, I don't know. Elven Rage is a very outdated skill. That skill, I don't know. I don't know what you could do to make that skill good. But right now it's like in a weird spot. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so now they've mentioned this kind of stuff before, but this is the first time ever that they've given a borderline release date. Let me see if this one had a release date. Okay, no, this is like the one thing they didn't give a release date on. The arenas, the 1v1, 2v2.
of course they didn't give a release date on
3v3 and 10v10 PvP arenas, and they also announced with this PvP seasons. But I believe they basically were going in chronological order with their entire announcements. With all of their announcements, and I don't remember an exact date for this. If they said it and someone knows one, let me know. Maybe I just missed it, but I tried to write them all down. But the announcement, as far as how chronological order goes, it was somewhere between August and October that this is supposed to be coming. But I don't know if they gave a specific date like they did with a lot of this other stuff. So essentially, they said that they want to do a queuable arena, 1v1, 2v2, and even 3v3, as well as the original like 10v10 PvP arena idea, which I guess is going to now happen inside the Thorntree Castle area, which was originally supposed to be that 5v5, which was now
They scrapped that.
Yeah, is now officially canceled. But that area is going to be used, I guess, for the 10v10. So yeah, I don't know. You guys, 1v1 arenas. They also it sounded like when they talked about the PvP seasons, they mentioned a gear score cap of 620, and that in the future it'll go up and be like 630, and it will just depend on like the player base and stuff, I guess. They said seasons will last minimum 1 month, maximum 2 to 3. The first season will be gear capped at 620. And they said they're toying with the idea of potentially doing PvP only gear, but that's not they haven't like actually done that. So yeah, your guys' thoughts on, I guess, both. They call it Arena of Solaire, which is a ranked 1v1 and 2v2 arena, and then the 10v10 crew battle that they said will also eventually have a Champion League tournament with ways to do offline like LAN tournaments for region versus region. I don't know, dude. All of it sounded super hype. Like, this is the first time that they actually announced that these arenas, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, are coming. They said that they'll have rankings, and it'll be in a Medaya arena style that you'll queue up and go to. Which the Medaya arena is, like, actually one of the worst, in my opinion. It's the one in Altanova. But...
Oh, no.
But if it's bigger, if it's like that style but big, I think it would actually be pretty fun.
Well,
but if it's small,
arena,
it'd be awful.
The Arsha arena is basically like Medaya's, though, right?
No,
So-
not at all.
No.
Not at all. The Arsha, the Medaya one is like 4 pillars in the middle of like a small circle arena.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Arsha arena,
really?
I would say, is most similar, at least in design, to Valencia, but no arenas have like those like structures in them though.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You know what they're doing? They're mimicking WoW's arena.
Maybe that's what someone else said. That Medaya arena is kind of like a little miniature version of the WoW one. But if they made
Yeah.
it big, I'm fine with that. As long as it's not small. Dude, can you imagine like that King of the Hill arena, but in a 3v3? It would be awful.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm excited for it. I don't necessarily care how the map is per se. Just don't make it small like fucking BA's arena. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
That shit is complete garbage.
Rez, your thoughts on this on these arenas finally coming?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna enjoy them, but even I'm not super big into arena things. But the thing is like people have wanted them for so long, and it's
Yeah.
such like a mainstay of any like PvP community in an MMO. Like the fact that we haven't had it for so long is like so frustrating.
When does Lost
So-
Ark come out?
Not sure. I think next year or something. Or
No,
maybe
it's-
no, later
Oc-
this year. I
Oc-
think
I think it's October this
it's
year.
October.
Is it
Yeah.
really? How convenient.
So
the
I'm
one
glad
thing
they're
that
finally
games has?
implementing it.
This
I'm
fall.
glad people are finally gonna get that content that like is usually something that is just like a constant.
Mhm.
That is so interesting that they're adding it around the same time that Lost Ark is coming out to NA.
Also, I think the
I
idea
guess.
of like the whole 10v10 thing and like making like a championship league or whatever, like that sounds kind of interesting. That sounds like they're gonna try and do like an esports thing with a 10v10, which is like weird but interesting. I don't
Mhm.
know. Kind of cool. I like it.
Shit, I kind of feel like we just need to hype up a game and make it seem like all the players are going to switch to it, and we'll get certain features that are mirroring what's in that other game.
You really think the
I'm-
arenas are a result of Lost Ark? I don't think that at all.
I don't think
5+ years, Frosty, we've been asking for an arena system.
And
Here's what
Lost
I think.
Ark's what
I think
pushes them over
no,
the
no,
edge.
no. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what
they got
happened.
kicked out in KR.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. They announced 10v10 arenas, right? They had Thornwood announced already, and then they announced the 10v10 like crew arenas, and people like were like, dude, just give us a fucking ranked ladder 1v1, 2v2, 3. That's all we fucking want. Stop with this like the Thorntree Castle, although I thought that was a cool
That
idea, but a lot of
sounded
people were
awesome
like,
to me, yeah.
a lot of people were like, what the fuck? Stop with the 10v10 crews. Just give us the fucking 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3. And so they saw that people were like really like for the
Adamant
second
about it.
time pushing against it and saying like, dude, just give us this simple thing. And so they were like, okay, we're gonna do the simple thing, but we're also gonna do the 10v10 thing because we think that's cool.
So
I think that's what
10v10
it
will
is.
be
Why-
pretty cool. But...
why
Because
do
remember, they announced the 10v10 before. They announced crews at the
Yeah.
last ball before this one, at the Calpheon ball or whatever. They announced the 10v10 thing, and people were like, dude, just give us a 1v1 ladder, please.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the majority of people are probably going to enjoy most the 2v2 and 3v3.
Yeah,
I
I
think so too.
Because
Yeah.
it's small scale, it's easy to keep track of, and I think it's like you can work with your team and it's fun. And balance, like while balance obviously matters, it's less magnified in those situations because you're just
Correct.
throwing out so much damage between a bunch of classes. And I think a lot of comps will work.
Yeah.
1v1 for me personally, I think will be awesome too, because I think it's just fun to test yourself against other people. But I think it's a chance for players, especially like newer streamers or people that are like making YouTube content or highlight like montage stuff, to pop off on classes that people don't think are very good, and they're at the top of the ladder on classes that people think suck at 1v1. And
It gives them a lot of attention.
a lot of notoriety, dude. Like if someone should like, I think Guardian is one of the classes that everybody thinks sucks in 1v1, but I would not be surprised if a bunch of them are at like high up on a ladder ranking.
Honestly, like I used to think Guardian sucked at 1v1s. After casting the 1v1s for Guardian, like in the PA tournaments, I'm kind of like, dude, that is kind of fucking insane, actually. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, anyway, I don't know. So this, I don't know, it looks, I cannot wait, dude. I've wanted arenas forever. Like,
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely forever. I've wanted arenas, so
Yeah.
I can't wait. The 10v10 thing still sounds, because they said it's the 10v10 crew thing, so it still sounds like you have to do it with your guild, and it's not just a random queue. Like, you queue against
Yeah.
other teams, but I think your team is made up of your guild mates.
I think the 10v10 thing is cool. I hope that they try and make it as like a mainstream thing as like, let's say, Node Wars, where like a pretty good chunk of the population like wants to do it because it's like fun, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this game has some of the best PvP out there, and they just haven't been capitalizing on it. It's just, I think it's just a part of the market that they purposely, for some reason, were avoiding
Until we get Lost Ark.
until we get Lost
Which
Ark. and
I
now
still
they're-
find interesting, since Lost Ark's been out in Korea for 2 years. I don't know why Korea hasn't had ranked arenas.
Yeah.
Mina
well,
says,
I mean,
speaking of AOA
we
finals, in
found
45
out
minutes.
that they lost a lot of their market in KR recently.
Yeah.
This could have shifted their opinion on it.
I don't know. According to those graphs, they hate PvP in BDO. They don't want a PvP. Dude, that's the thing. It's like they're adding more resist, not less. That's what makes me so sad about that grapple resist mechanic on Corsair. It's like
Yeah.
they're just investing more and more into resistances. and-
See, I don't mind resists like that, where it's like very like limited in how it's like being used, right?
yeah.
Like I don't mind that. I hate just blanket resists. Those are that needs to go. Like if you want to use resist to cover specific weaknesses in a class's design, like, a big animation where you're kind of sitting still for like a second,
That makes more sense.
I'm
yeah.
totally okay with that. What I'm not okay with is when I CC somebody, they're on the ground, and then they resist 3 CCs on the ground. I am not okay with that in the slightest.
Yeah. I mean, for me too, like I actually wouldn't even mind the resist overall if once you're CC'd it dropped. I've
Same.
said that a million times. That would just make it a lot
At least
easier.
at least it would not be nearly as bad, because at least I can kind of understand the necessity for resist like on feet, even though I don't really agree with it, but like I kind of get it. The resisting on the ground is the fucking worst.
Yeah, I think it's silly that someone can literally stand up while you're comboing them and just grab you and kill you, or just CC you in general.
Yeah. Fun times, dude. Fun times.
And it's like Frosty, you say this about like Tamer a lot of times, is when it's like whenever like the dog does something that's like stupid that wins the Tamer the fight, it's like it usually doesn't feel good to like win like that. It's like the
Right.
same thing whenever you like get a lucky resist, quote unquote lucky. It's just like, yeah, you won the fight, but it doesn't necessarily feel good. It's like, oh, dude, that
Yeah.
sucks.
I mean, you saw Bounty literally apologize to Mamo in his fight that he won. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, dude.
Wait, why?
Because the pet CC'd him out of Mamo's combo.
A combo, yeah.
No.
Twice, dude. It happened twice.
Well, that's
It's you know,
tamer, you
Tamer
know.
pet, dude. Tamer pet. Should type. Okay. So ranked arenas are coming. I'm gonna power through these because I want to get done before the tournament begins. But
In 45 minutes?
yeah.
Okay.
What?
I feel like we have a lot more to go through, but
Do we? I mean,
Let's-
a lot.
let's
the
try to
rest of
power
stuff,
through.
I don't think the rest of stuff has too much more. That I mean, just announcing that it's coming. The tier 10 unicorn
suppose
is
so.
a water horse.
Yeah.
No
Yep.
horn. Are you guys okay with
Did
there
we-
not being a
did
horn
we
on a
predict
unicorn?
that? We predicted that.
Well,
didn't we?
they showed it running on water. Remember, they showed like a normal unicorn running across water. in
No,
that
but
demo?
didn't you say like 2 years ago that you wanted a seahorse?
Well, I wanted a. I thought the next T9 was going to be a literal seahorse that you could ride
Close
the
enough.
seahorse.
I feel like that
I'm
may
so-
be an example of the intern striking.
Yeah,
They tried, Frosty. They tried.
I want a literal seahorse. That's what I want.
I am concerned. One thing about that T10 though is they say that it can't go across the water at long distances. What's the point of it then? I don't understand.
They said so when they were talking about it, they said that it doesn't have a point, and they said that the hovering in the Pegasus doesn't have a real purpose. That it's just cool and exciting, and that the horse, like, you're basically getting it for the looks and the notoriety of, like, you're one of the few people that have this. That they didn't want to make it feel like it has abilities that are super strong that you feel like you have to get it. It's more of like a collector's item type thing. So they said that was intentional. They said, quote, let's see if I can remember that. I'm paraphrasing, so not quote. I remove the quotation. They said, and I'm paraphrasing, we were looking at it moving around on water and thought to ourselves, this isn't particularly useful, and then thought to ourselves, you know what? That's okay. We're going to leave it not particularly useful. The Pegasus flying isn't particularly useful either. It's just something cool to show off and whatever. So
here's my issue with that philosophy though. The Pegasus is very useful. Unicorn,
I mean,
not so much.
I think the unicorn's buffs need to be looked at, but I do think the unicorn is somewhat useful. It's just, I don't know how you compete with flying. Like, how do you compete with flying?
That's why I'm saying, like, I'm surprised that they didn't make this able to compete with flying.
I mean, what would you do to do that, though? Like, give me some examples of something that's competitive with being able to fly around node war zones.
I mean, I'm in terms of node wars, there's nothing. I mean, Pegasus is just the best horse for like node wars, in my opinion. I know some people prefer Doom, but to me, there's nothing better than the mobility of a Pegasus.
Someone's saying it should be able to teleport. You should be able to iframe around. I don't
know.
Turn into
I
liquid
just
and
thought-
come out somewhere else.
I just thought water horse, like, oh, they're going to like make it run on water to make it be as good as a Pegasus that can, glide. It can't really fly. It can glide,
Well,
But
in node war
then
zones,
they didn't.
that'll still be true. Like, you can still run across small bodies of water. It said you can stay on top of water for a short time. You just can't
Yeah.
go to like far. So in a node war zone, like, you might be able to just go straight to that stupid island on Catfish where people turtle.
Yeah, and you'll be the only one there fighting the whole guild because
No.
everyone else is swimming across in their shark outfits.
You'll be there with a bunch of people who have Pegasus, who can also get there.
That didn't have to go through the trouble of getting a T10. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
How do you compete at least in terms of a node war? How do you compete with Pegasus? I mean, I get that that's like they said specifically. They pointed out that like that's not their thinking with this. They just want to make something that's like cool and novelty, and like that's fine. But of course, like we're node war players, we're PvPers, so it's like that's the first thing that my mind goes to is that it's like, how does this even compete with the utility of a Pegasus in a node war scenario?
I'll say this with the little sample image that they gave us. I mean, I know it wasn't much that they showed, but they just have this like still image. I think it's the coolest looking horse. I think the fact that the mane and tail are actually water is kind of badass.
It is. It does look really cool. But can I also point out that I feel like part of my disappointment is that they really kind of like did some false advertising where in the video it's just running across open water with no land in sight, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this dude can just sprint across oceans, and then they're like, yeah, he can like run across a river. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I don't know, but they
well.
did say when they showed that unicorn that I'm pretty sure it wasn't even actually running on water. With the Papu thing, it was like I think the
What?
background was edited so it looked like it was running on water, but it was actually just like a different video clipped onto it.
No. I'm talking about the video where it was running next to the
otter.
mermaid.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
There
Wait.
was a shot that it like went up from the sky and you saw it from like top down. It was the water horse next to a mermaid, and it was like a helicopter type like shot
No, I
looking
don't even
straight
remember
down.
that.
And it was just open water as far as you could see. That made me be like, oh shit, this thing's just gonna be sprinting to Vel. Like, that's awesome. And then it's just like, yeah, it can't do that. I was like, ah, well.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would
I
have been
don't
too
remember
easy.
that. I don't know. Is there really that much benefit of being able to go to Vel? Like you have a Vel alt. I don't know. I guess you could charge Vel down with your unicorn. That would be cool. All right, on from the T10 horse. That's coming. So this is another thing that has a very specific date. The T10 unicorn is coming on September 2nd. Terror of the Deep Sea is coming August 26th, which really isn't that far away from now. That is 2 months from now.
Yeah.
So Terror of
That's
the
pretty
Deep
soon.
Sea reminder is the basically like an infinite tower where you could go on and you collect loot, trash loot, and it gets harder and harder as you go on. And if you can leave at any time with your trash loot, but if you die, you lose 50% of what you've collected. That's at least how they described it. It might be different when it actually comes out, but that's how they described it. That's coming August 26th. I can't wait for that. That sounds awesome. Let's see. New class is June 29th. The mansions are coming July 15th. I guess between Heidel and like Camasylvan Temple, right? Is it that side of Heidel?
Sorry,
Somewhere.
say that again? I was typing.
The new mansions.
Oh, it's in between Heidel and Medaya, I believe.
Yeah.
I think. I think that's around the area they said it was going to be in.
I have a hard time getting
Wasn't it?
excited about housing, but I know some people
Yeah.
are, so
Yeah, it's not really my forte either. Like, it's kind of a weird concept to me, but it depends on what they do. If it's just for like collector's item shit, then it's like whatever. I don't care. But
I
if
just
they-
don't think housing is very good in this game. I feel like you almost have to spend money to have decent housing in this game. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
this game's
I
housing is
haven't
kinda like-
looked that much into it, so I can't really state that like definitively. That's just what it seems like to me. Heidel and Eastgate apparently is what
I
I'm
just
seeing.
I don't want it to be a scenario where you need to have, you know, your house or your mansion or whatever, like in order to be like fully optimized for your PvP or PvE, because you need the stats that it gives. Or I don't want to see that shit.
Eastern Border.
all right. Moving on from mansions. Look, I don't remember how to spell mansions, so this is tough for me, okay? Ataraxian is stuck in localization limbo and is coming globally July 21st. The Ataraxian Dungeon Part 1. But the interesting thing about it, the crazy thing that kind of blew my mind, was that Part 2 is going to hit Global Labs 1 week later on July 29th. The second section of the dungeon Ataraxian is coming to Global Labs July 29th. I don't know when we'll be getting the second one. Hopefully it's sooner than that. Sooner than how long we're waiting for this one. So yeah, we'll begin that dungeon July 21st, near the latter half of next month.
So here's a question for
yep.
you in regards to that. How quickly do you think people are gonna like get dried out of that? You know, each iteration of the dungeon.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like I was talking about this with Choice and them on that podcast too. I think it really depends on what the rewards are. It only needs to be kind of fun and kind of replayable, and then have really good rewards for people to want to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, we still go back to Stars End. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is
I mean, to
like,
be honest, I've tried to stay away from Stars and I'm primarily orcs these days. But yeah, I understand what you mean.
if it's miserable to play and the rewards are good, then I that'll be a problem. But it seems most people that played it seem to think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, KR already has it, right? So what
Yeah.
their feedback has been.
I don't know. I don't know if they're still playing it is the thing. I'm really curious. But the rewards in there do seem to be pretty good. Or at least decent. So we'll see what happens when it actually comes out though. It's who knows. But I'm excited that they're continuing work on it like relatively quickly. They announced a new mini card game with a ranked ladder that's coming August 12th.
I think that's pretty cool, actually.
they're making Gwent. I love it.
Yeah, that's what everyone is referring to it. It's gonna be Gwent.
Yeah,
I'm down with some new extra little mini games.
I'm down with Gwent, dude.
Yeah.
As long as it's not pay to win, I'm 100% down for BDO.
Now,
Gwent.
Frosty, if
Yeah.
if they somehow incorporated Raid Shadow Legends into this, would you still do another advertisement?
If they did what?
If they somehow incorporated this little mini game was actually just a mini game of Raid Shadow Legends into it, would you do an advertisement for it?
I'm moving on, dude. I'm on to
BDO is
Epic
BDO is
7.
sponsored
Epic
by
7,
BDO
where
is
you at?
sponsored by Raid Shadow
I
Legends.
got a sponsorship availability, Epic 7. Let's go. They announced 2 new RBF maps, one in the northern plains of Serendia, and the other one is going to be in Valencia. That's going to be they said a more traditional Node War / Conquest War style RBF. The Serendian one, I don't know what that one's going to be, but the Valencian one's going to be like Node War Conquest Wars. That's coming August 19th. Thoughts on new RBF maps?
Welcomed. Don't make it Garmoth 2.0.
Yeah, I was afraid that they were never going to release new RBF maps because they're like, we released the Garmoth one, and you guys
And
never
you guys
played
didn't
that
like
one.
it. Yeah.
But the
That's what I
Garmoth
was
one
afraid of too.
is flawed in a
Yeah.
bunch of different ways. Like one, if it's wide open space, there's nowhere to hide from range damage is one problem. The other problem is like
Garmoth fucking everyone up.
Garmoth is just annoying. He's not cool. Maybe he could be flying around up at the top but not shooting fire at people. But I
Or
think
making it objective, rather than-
Yeah.
just a deathmatch is like a little bit too crazy in a wide open spot. They needed to add something that made it either feel team oriented or I still do love the one thing I do like about the Garmoth RBF more than Castle Ruins is I like the random spawn locations
The buffs
where you
or-
literally
oh,
don't get
yeah,
spawn
yeah.
camped because you could spawn anywhere. It would be nice if like on the 2 different sides of Castle Ruins map you could spawn in more than one location.
I hope that with these new RBF maps, which I want to say they touched on the possibility of this, I think, but I hope they make it more than just deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they at least mentioned something about testing that.
Well, the Valencia one, they said, is going to be
Yeah.
Conquest War style. I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, who knows what that means, but like hopefully it's not just like go destroy a fort. Like I mean I guess even that's better than just like TDM, but I'd really like there to be some game modes
Yeah,
with like,
same.
Yeah.
CTF or just
capture the
domination.
flag would be so fun actually in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just go crazy, man. Like, I know it's like time, effort, money, energy, like
Yeah.
all that stuff, but like, just come out with some fun game modes. Like, I don't know. Just don't do another version of TDM.
the other thing related to RBF is this came to KR. We didn't get it yet, but KR has the non-ghillie RBFs on their server now. So
Yep.
it pops up a list. I hope we get this week. We should get it pretty soon. But basically the list of RBFs has a little icon of a face with an X through it. Those RBFs you cannot use a ghillie suit inside of. So for the Castle Ruins
Which
ones,
is
there's
cool.
5. There's 1 through 5 of non-ghillie RBF, and then 1 through 5 of normal RBF, and then on the Garmoth one, at least on KR server, they have 2 non-ghillie RBF and 3 ghillie RBF. I'm just gonna assume most people are gonna be in the non-ghillie RBF, And hopefully they eventually phase out just Gillies and RBF or anything competitive in general.
Yeah, they should just remove it entirely. I mean, this is a good half measure, but just remove Gillies from RPF, please.
It's gonna be funny seeing one of the RBFs just be only Gillies. That happened. All right, let's see what else from the ball.
That's a positive change, honestly.
Yep.
Oh yeah, super good.
Trading revamp with camel caravans, etc. It kind of looked something similar to I guess like on land bartering. That's going to be coming September 29th. This, I know this sounds so dumb coming from me, but I might actually be into this. Because I like the idea of bartering. I actually think it's really cool the way it works and everything.
But you hated the ocean aspect.
I don't want to get a boat or level up a boat. Now, this might also be tough because you might need like a really good wagon, which also sounds awful to make. But if you can do it on a smaller scale with like a camel or an elephant or these camel caravans that they talked about, sounds pretty cool. And I'm kind of into that. So trading revamp sounds I'm into. I like the idea of it.
Can I take a moment to say I am so happy that the mass of pure magic cheer is now gone.
Yeah, it is really
Yes, dude. The greatest change of 2021, you mean?
It's so satisfying to see it pop up on my screen and know that my skill is not interrupted.
Mina says anything is better than fucking ocean content. I agree.
Yeah, I don't like ocean stuff really. Fuck, what was I gonna say? There's something else about this, but I don't remember now. I don't know. The idea of it sounded cool though. We'll see what ends up actually happening with it when they detail it more. But trading has been like outdated for a very long time.
Yeah, so trading is very, very outdated.
Pretty cool. Calpheon Elvia Realm is coming October 14th.
That's exciting.
They didn't say the specific places, but I assume there will be a bunch. One of the things they did say about this is that the Calpheon monsters will be more unique in Elvia than the Serendia ones were. They also said that they're going to improve the weather effects, that they got a lot of feedback that the greenness kind of depresses people. So they're going to change the weather effects to be a little bit less depressing or gloomy. They also said in Elvia Calpheon, some of the areas will be 290 AP plus, and then for like Marie Cave, they're going to do like one of these crazy aspirational areas that's 340 AP requirement.
The fuck?
They also said rain effects will be more important and will add AP/DP, and there will be more details to come. And they're thinking about buffing green items to close the gap in PvE for some people, I guess, but I don't know exactly what that means.
Who uses green items in PvE?
No one. That's why they're thinking about adding green items that are powerful. No one uses green items in PvE. That's
I think the idea is these green items are useless, so let's give them like some sort of use.
Well, you know, the state of the game has moved away from the need for those to ever be used. So yeah, I guess that kind
of. They also mentioned, I think Black Star Raid
Marketplace actually did that too. But yeah.
The Black Star Raid's supposed to come around the same time. I don't know if it's the exact same date, but the Black Star Raid's supposed to come out also in October-ish. So that's kind of hype.
Super hype.
And then they mentioned the new lore / tutorial and voice acting for the stories, and the in-game stuff is going to be basically right now it's a wall of text. They want to make it like voice acting to try to improve it for everybody.
And they showed like a clip, and honestly, pretty good.
It looked pretty cool.
Like, if I was a new player, I would definitely be more interested in the game if that was my first, like, you know, experience, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're definitely putting their best foot forward with all these changes recently. Maybe the market's got them spooked and they have to do all this stuff or something. Or
so the other couple, let me go through the Q&A real quick and just touch on some of these small points. They said for PvE, for other spots that aren't viable or not used anymore, and they understand about overcrowding and all this, that they're going to try to make zones have more mechanics and be more fun and not just update the silver income you get from them. They also said that
that's huge, by the way,
toying with the idea of special zones for your damage type, which I hate, and I hope they never actually do that.
No, don't do that.
they said they created Ataraxian to add more group content, but that won't be their sole focus. They still think that the solo stuff is important. They also said that they heard our feedback about the 100-man Node Wars and are going to add 2 days of Node War that have limits, caps. I think that should swap. Should be like 2 days with 100-man and the rest should be 50 personally, but that's just me. They also said, finally, Rez, we talked about this in the past, they are thinking about doing event Node Wars, which I feel like they should have done forever. So
what does that mean?
The idea of an event Node War would be like, on this Node War day, the winner gets extra silver and like more Kaffers. Like it could be reward like that, or it could be like, I don't know. You have like a special item for this particular Node War. Like there's like a million things they could do. But having an event Node War that is scheduled ahead of time, where you go to it knowing it's going to be different or the rewards might be better, I think is kind of cool. And they should have done it forever.
I think that's a very interesting idea. Why not like having like a pseudo castle buff for like a day or two.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Something along those lines. They said that's coming mid-August. They also said Blue Battlefield is still in the works, that they have major desync issues that have not been fixed on Blue Battlefield that they have to work on. So that's still, they still want to release that, but they have a lot of work to do. They said the PvP karma / penalties are not going to be reduced. They are hard sticking with the way their karma system works, and that they're hoping that for an outlet for PvP, the arena stuff will help satiate those needs to kill people. They said they're going to continue to update class balance even before the revamps, and will consider NA EU feedback and add damage type specific zones potentially. Let's see, life skill content. There's going to be life skill updates in the future that don't just focus on profit, but also making life skills fun. They don't have plans to add new ocean content and have suspended development on diving suits. They're focusing on Blue Battlefield and hopes to do ocean Node Wars in the future.
Please, that would be so fun.
A new ship called the Dreadnought may be coming in the future. They said there's going to be a new guild galley in September.
I wonder if that's the one they demoed the other day with Corsair.
Yeah, I think it was. Actually, I'm pretty sure Kid A actually killed the Dreadnought while it was out.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he did. They said there's no plans for Shadow Arena to return in the future, but they do highly recommend the standalone game if you miss it, which is funny. They're not adding any marriage stuff. Pet speed changes. Oh, they are planning to add tier 5 pets.
Yeah. I heard that.
And they said that you will be able to get them not just through pay to win, but there will be means to get them with silver as well. They said the next armor of Fallen God will be the helmet. It will be related to the story quest in the Mountain of Eternal Winter. Treasure items, they're not gonna add any mercy rule stuff to those items. So there's not gonna be the leaves or stuff added to existing items. Future items may have it, but they're not gonna add it to other items in the past. So treasure items are treasure items. Outfits and costumes. Let's see. Gillies will not be shown in some of the RBFs. Mass Pure Magic cheering is gone. They have no plans to sell weapon swap coupons in the Pearl Shop. Family storage. They have no plans to allow you to use treasure items or store them in the family storage, but randomly said that they may also add a separate storage for treasure items specifically, which just make it in the family storage. Seems, I don't know why you would do a separate redundant one. They said they still are aware that Kaffras are an issue and that they're hard to obtain. They're trying to add more ways to increase AP and DP from things separate from Kaffra stones, such as things like adventure logs and all that. They said adventures, they want to potentially be able to increase their gear by farming, doing alchemy, RBF, other stuff, but they're working on the idea.
I mean, they're slowly phasing out Kaffers with the... they'll eventually phase them out with the...
Fallen God. Yeah,
Fallen God gear, yeah.
Damage numbers, they reiterated, are never coming to the live server. They did say that they added, this happened on KR, they already got it, but you can see the PvP damage reduction amounts on all of the abilities now, and it's pretty granular too. It'll tell you on which parts of the skill if it has separate PvP reduction numbers. So if a skill has like 1 hit 1,000% times 4 on the first hit and 1,000% times 4 on the second hit, but they have reduced amount or differing amounts of damage reduction, it actually will say that in the tooltip. It'll also tell you the amount of hits that are reduced in PvP if it got buffed in PvE with additional hits, which is pretty nice because it makes all the damage numbers that are in those percentages actually mean
Make more
something.
sense. Yeah.
I was going through and looking through them, and I can say with the confidence of 1,000 suns that the damage numbers without those PvP reduction percents literally meant nothing. They vary so much and so dramatically skill to skill that those damage numbers actually meant nothing. They're completely meaningless. But with those reduction numbers in there, they actually will have meaning, and you'll get a general idea of like how much a skill does.
Yep. That's
which is pretty cool.
Really, really, really good.
I think we're getting that this week. I hope. KR got it last week. Usually we get stuff like that the week after, so we'll see. They added a function in KR got this already, where any stackable items you have that are already in your warehouse storage, you can like click one button and it'll instantly move all of those items from your inventory into the warehouse storage, so you don't have to do it manually yourself. Let me pull up they have a sample GIF of this. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but
yeah, I briefly looked at it.
But it looks really nice actually. It's a really cool
quality of life feature for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice quality of life thing. Here, Reza, let me just stream this on Discord for you so you can see it. But this is kind of what this looks like. Essentially, if the item is not in your warehouse, then it will not be moved if it's stackable, and then non-stackable items also won't be moved. But any of these stackable items, you just click the button and it automatically moves them into your warehouse if your warehouse already has that type of item in it, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
They also said you can exclude items such as cooking items, healing agents, elixirs, worker behavior recovery items, and pet food items, or you can select up to 10 individual exception items and exclude them from the automatic input function.
Okay, cool.
Which is also really nice. So very, very well done. Like
Kaffers, for example.
Kaffers.
You can exclude.
Goddamn Kaffers.
Kaffers.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of rewards. We got basically 1,000 Kronstones. We got a dragon pet, the Garmoth one that gives you 25 HP. We got one hammer. It's not an accessory hammer that everyone thought it was going to be. It's just a normal loyalty hammer. And we got a set of reroll coupons for free, which is very cool. And some Kaffir stones, and yeah.
Kaffers.
It was pretty cool. I don't know. Overall, the Heidel ball was freaking... I think it was awesome, and I think one of the things that was different this time compared to last time, and I'm excited... The reason I wrote this down nice and cleanly in this separate word pad is I want to see if they actually stick to these dates. I'm going to keep track of this, because they have... Like, I'll go through this quickly. They said, new class, June 29th. Mansions, July 15th. Ataraxian, July 21st. Ataraxian Part 2 Global Labs, July 29th. New mini card game, August 12th. 2 new RBF maps, August 19th. Terror of the Deep Sea, August 26th. Ranked arenas, somewhere in either August, September, October. That one didn't have a specific date. Tier 10 Unicorn, September 2nd. The Camel Trade Buff, September 29th. Elvia Realm and Black Star Raid, October 14th. Character reboots for all 17 classes in October. And the new lore tutorial. I don't know if they gave a date for the new lore tutorial thing, but they didn't give dates like this before. This is a totally first time they've ever done this. Najila,
they usually say like in X quarter, you know.
PvP season and the arenas are supposed to be August 26th. That's actually nuts if that's true.
That would be so hype.
There's one key thing that we haven't talked about. One thing that they announced that I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
Private servers.
Yeah. The private server thing...
That's interesting.
The private server thing to me sounds like something that has to do with KR and maybe like SA and SA where they have very few servers. Our PvP is a problem. I don't know. I don't get the server thing at all.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, basically what they said is that there's going to be some way, and apparently it's going to be a pretty exclusive club, where you can just have your own server. So it'll be a server all to yourself.
Didn't they?
I think they made it sound like only very... Yeah, they made it sound like only a very few people would be able to get it, so it's not like everyone has their own server. It's a pretty exclusive club, and then you can invite people to it, I think up to like 30 or something, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said
Which is
it's-
interesting.
you can invite up to 30 people. It'll be season only at the start, and then eventually transition to normal servers as well. And yeah, you can invite up to
Yeah.
30 people. Instance grind spots. Does anyone understand why? And the server only lasts 1 day. That's the other thing. Yeah, when you get it, you only have it for 24 hours. I don't know. I find it odd.
I mean,
Interesting.
it's
it seems
weird.
to be catering to the Care Bears, probably. But yet, why bother?
I
Since
hate
they are.
that term. That term's so lazy. But go on.
Why is it lazy?
Well, I don't know what it's exactly catering towards, because it doesn't really. I don't know. It's like, especially on seasons. I don't know. It's so.
Well,
think
I
it's so
agree.
weird.
Like, it's kind of weird. Like, especially when they're planning. Are they still planning to add the sheriff system? They didn't really talk about
Yep.
that, right?
Yep.
Okay, they did. So they're still planning to add that. They're still going to leave the karma system as is. So why even bother with this private server thing? So
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, this feels like something that maybe makes more sense on a different server, and that I just don't fully understand.
yeah.
Yeah, it's as Saj in chat says, it's for the 53% of Koreans who say they hate PvP on that chart. So,
I don't understand that. How can you hate PvP in this game? It's literally it's half the game.
I totally get it.
I mean, I understand not liking PvP.
Some people just don't like competitive stuff, and that's inherently what any sort of player versus player thing is it's competitive, and some people really don't like that. They just want to chill.
I just don't understand how.
Then play a fucking console game.
I don't understand. That's what BDO is
I
literally on
disagree.
console. BDO has so much or console games have so much competitive stuff. I don't
There's-
understand though. Like,
Yeah.
the thing I'm confused about. Maybe I'd have to see like a day in the life. Maybe someone can actually have a video. But I would love to watch like a day in the life of one of these people that feels like they're just dying at their grind spot all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I even think even on NA where people are fairly ruthless, like a lot of people just come up and say how long and then they leave.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree.
A war target earlier. He said as soon as he seen I responded to his channel, he went over to me and said, "Please don't." And then my chat proceeded to urge me to try to kill him. So
Yeah, and that's kind of it. That was the Heidel ball. That was everything as far as I know of. I don't think we missed anything. That was pretty much everything. And I was gonna say, Rose, with the comments, we actually recorded the reading of the comments last time, but I haven't put it up yet.
Huh?
Because remember, me and Nyashi did it without you because you couldn't make it. But
Yeah.
you never posted that.
Correct.
So there's no comments on that, but that one we read all the comments from the previous week. So we don't have comments this week.
which week did we do that again? Honestly, I can't remember.
It was a long time
Oh, I
ago.
see. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
totally forgetting what day or what week that was.
Yeah,
Because the previous episode to this has not yet been posted, there are no comments to read.
Right. And in the last video,
Yes.
we did the comments
Yeah.
from the previous video.
For
right?
the previous one to that. Yeah. Okay, I understand what you're saying. You confused the shit out of me initially, but yeah, I get you.
We let Nyashi read the whole thing. I'm just kidding, Rez. I wouldn't do that to you.
He'd probably just edit the
Yeah.
audio and mute over and play some sort of like music.
I know the Arena Varsha is starting and that
Mhm.
you want to go watch that, Frosty, and I kind of do too. But can we just touch on one more thing before we go?
Yeah, what's up?
There was a clip that I would love for you guys to watch and then
Okay.
just kind of touch on
All right.
because it is. I thought it was interesting in the discussion that was going. If I can find the goddamn clip, what happened to it? Where is it? Hello,
Link it
Reddit,
up.
please.
Let's talk about it.
Reddit, please. Okay, hold on. Reddit's not helping me. I'm gonna go directly to the source. So on just backstory while I try to find the clip. Basically, it was Moreland and Tim and Potion Shop doing their podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, Moreland had something to say about BDO that I think I might agree with, maybe with the current state of the game and like previously, but I feel like with the direction we're going, maybe not so much. I'm gonna link the clip, and then Frosty, if you want to watch it, and then stream it, and then
Okay.
we can watch it together and just kind of touch on it.
Is this recent or is this old?
This is like, let me get you the time because I'm pretty sure this is the most recent podcast
Okay.
that did. This is from yesterday.
From yesterday. Okay. So this is Tim Allen, Potion Shop, Moreland, and Kerr. All right, here we go. You ready?
That is too much time in a game that is actually good, that is actually being developed by people who love that game. It's not a inevitable conclusion that once you play a game for a certain amount of years that you're just burnt out on that game. These games suck now. The devs are bad and clueless, and they don't listen, and they don't play the game, and they don't love games in general or play games in general. They're bad at their jobs. They are greedy. They're looking for the best marketing strategy to extract wealth out of you, and that is their goal. Their goal is not to give you a memorable experience that you're going to be talking about with your friends years from now. And you can fucking feel it in every patch, and everybody knows it. And I'm just at the point now where I'm like, I can't keep it in anymore. Like, it's so fucking obvious. I'm tired of trying to be positive and prop this game up just because the stream pays my bills. Like, I'm at the point where I'm willing to go get a job as a fucking Walmart.
Oh, okay.
that ended
Time.
abruptly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it cuts off a
Okay.
little bit.
So the
but
gist
you get
is,
the
that the game
get
is
the
just
gist of
trying to extract money out of you. They're not really releasing stuff. Was he when he said these develop? He was talking about BDO devs in the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, I assume so, considering. And going in the comments, it seems like a lot of people were saying that the whole podcast was basically them just like shitting on BDO and
Right.
this, that, and the other. And I thought it was interesting because I thought it was interesting that he brought this up and that this clip got posted to the Reddit and a lot of people were talking about it, because I had literally said just a couple days before in our group chat that I feel like we could potentially be moving into a new golden age of BDO.
Yeah.
With a lot of these changes that are coming out, with a lot of this content that's dropping. Now, obviously, they could always fuck it up, right? But I feel like we are very, very, very well might be moving into a golden age of BDO. I feel almost exactly the opposite currently about at least the direction we're going. I maybe understand for like the state of the game.
Past for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I don't know. I feel really hopeful when I look at the direction that we seem to be going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, there might be people who maybe this is their first time watching or listening to the podcast, but like, I am probably like the most like I am not a shill for this company or this game. I shit on this company and this game 24/7. That's the whole reason. That is at least a good part of why we started this podcast in the first place, is that me and Frosty have very different opinions about this game, even though we both enjoy it. So it's like, for me to be saying that, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that Moreland has that opinion and that I have almost the exact opposite opinion, at least about the direction of the game.
yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about it already. I think that I've always kind of felt that way. I don't know, like, people are really jaded about a lot of stuff. I'm not really sure if it's expectations thing. There are things that suck, but then but a lot of it, like, you just don't really have to deal with if you don't want to. I don't know. Some of this stuff is tough though, like when it's like balanced stuff. I don't know. Like, that's a pretty extreme view that you seem to have, but I definitely don't. I don't feel that way. But you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I just wanted to end this podcast off with a little bit of hope, because I know a lot of people. It seemed in the comments that a lot of people were kind of like upset that they were kind of shitting on BDO the whole time, and that's usually my job in this podcast. So
Yeah, like someone's saying in chat, if they deliver all those timelines and those release dates, I think it's going to be sick.
I think
Yeah.
it's a complete opposite viewpoint if that's what if they achieve that goal. I'm with you on that, Resler. Like, I think this game is actually entering into a very interesting spot in its age.
Yeah.
Considering how long this game has been going and the competitive market out there, like, yeah, there's a lot of games out there that just suck. Like a lot of the complaints is every time a new game's announced, it's either dead before release or it's just trash on release.
Yeah.
But right now with all the things that they plan on adding, like I feel kind of reinvigorated, like with progressing. I mean, Frosty can attest to that. He's seen my gear grow quite a bit recently, with just recently joining, Noto. And like I'm actually pushing my gear now. I'm actually focusing on grinding a lot more than before. And I have stages of that, where I kind of like try to progress a little bit, but then I fizzle out, and then I get back into it again. But like all these recent changes and all the announcements and whatnot has got me pretty hyped. Hell, I even joined back in the Node Wars, and made it work for my schedule and whatnot. So
Yeah. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to talk about how we felt about the state of the game. Obviously, Frosty is a white knight, but Nyashi's fairly neutral and he's feeling good, and I'm one of the biggest detractors of this game, and I'm feeling good. So I don't know. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Best MMO ever made.
I don't know if I'll go that far, but
I'm going
yeah,
that
I don't
far.
know about that one, but.
All right.
All right. Well, no comments.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the end of the show. Thank you again, everybody who was hanging in there while we were gone. Sorry about that. Just shit happens, but we're back. Regular episodes from here on out. Join the Discord for information about the show if we ever have to like take a break or get delayed. There's gonna be 2 podcasts uploaded on Monday. There should be. That's what I'm planning to do. So yeah, I don't know. Leave a comment letting us know what you think about the game, where we're going. If you're excited for Corsair, all the other things announced at the Heidel Ball. Thank you to the patrons and to all the Twitch subscribers on our individual channels. Thank you all so much for supporting us. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.